Hi, good morning on a Wednesday morning. Happy
Mike.
It is Hump Day. How we all doing?
Doing great.
Good morning. We've had quite the conversation to kick off the morning.
We have.
We'll carry him over to the air for all of you to be entertained by on this Wednesday morning.
You've put me in a good mood. You've put Matt in a better mood.
I'm in a great mood. I'm in a great mood too because I thought you ever lose a hat and you think
Are we having a hat discussion again?
Yes, we are.
Jeez.
Why? You don't like talking about my hats?
Like a sitcom.
It's over. You're not a fan of teams.
No.
You're just a fan of the hat.
No, it's
All right.
not that.
Why don't you be like me? So this is the hat I'm wearing today.
Can you turn that thing back around?
Why?
That looks disgusting.
This hat?
Yeah.
I am on Team Army.
You look like you're Sherlock Holmes. That's like a modern Sherlock Holmes hat. Is what that looks like. It's like slanted forward. That is disgusting.
What do you mean? This is a great hat.
This
is a very stylish hat.
I can't look at you. I can't.
This is a stylish hat for everybody on
it's
1620 The Zone TV. This is a stylish hat.
shape-
There's no logo. It's just beige.
What if it just
The
said
shape-
It's not
sports?
really beige.
The shape of the hat looks like it's slanted down. It looks like you're a detective.
Well, just because you're not in the style. These are the kind of hats you buy at really nice stores.
that does nothing for you. I'm sorry. It does nothing for your head shape. It makes your head. You ever seen what an Asian elephant looks like? It's got a little bit of a.
You know what? I was at Target
it's got
yesterday and I didn't see one of them.
It's got like a big
Hey,
hump
hold
on the
on.
very top of the dome.
Hold on, excuse me.
Yeah.
An Asian elephant?
Yeah.
Is there a difference?
Oh yeah. There's elephants from the savannah. There's African elephants.
Like Georgia?
there's- Yeah. No. There's different species
I've been
of
to
elephants.
Savannah. I didn't think they had
No,
elephants
not
there.
Savannah, Georgia.
Was Babar an Asian elephant?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. No. There's
two
different-
bees.
There's a lot of different types of elephants. It's a great documentary on Disney Plus in which I've been
Roll
watching.
Tide.
Okay, but
Owl,
that is
Big
a
Owl is an
that
elephant?
is a specific type of elephant.
Yeah.
The Asian elephant is actually considered the smartest elephant, despite it being the smallest elephant, and it has to live amongst humans, and so
Wow.
it's very good at adapting and surviving
Yeah.
and doing different things.
Asking for the chat room. How can you tell if the elephant is from Asia?
It's true.
Because they look, like I just told you, their heads are very distinctly
Careful.
shaped, just like your hat is distinctly shaped right now.
To me, all elephants look the same, and
That's
I
what I
like
thought.
elephants.
Yeah.
If you look up like a African elephant
Shout out
compared to an Asian elephant,
Do we see both at the zoo?
well, no. If you go to
Do
the
they work
zoo,
together?
Just like when you go to your penguin exhibit where your beloved
All
penguin.
penguins look the same.
No, they don't. They all don't look the same. They're all and there's emperor penguins
Yeah,
and there's
because I
smaller
went to the
penguins.
Blank Park
and
Zoo,
there's-
and they look like the same penguin that I saw at the
No.
Henry Dorley Zoo. I went to the San Diego Zoo. They look the same.
Gary, do I have to explain species to you? There's different species of
Underrated
animals,
movie.
and every animal has a different species.
I don't care what they look like. I still love them.
Okay, I'm not
You
talking
love all
about how
penguins
much
is
I
what you're
love
getting at.
certain animals. I'm just telling you
Especially
that
where they played the other night in Philadelphia. Hey, you can set your watch to Sydney scoring a goal at
They're getting
Philadelphia.
better.
Okay, sorry.
Can you turn your hat back around?
No.
You look
So
like-
I got this hat. So I got this hat on the road trip.
You look like you're about
actually,
to solve a mystery.
I think this is. Did I buy this hat in Miami? Yeah, I needed a hat.
Oh, then you know it's
Okay, I
good.
needed a hat.
Yeah,
so-
you do.
Out
Some
of
of
all the things that you could have bought in Miami, you bought the plainest looking trucker hat I've
It's
ever
not. Oh
seen.
no, it's not a trucker hat. This is a very stylish hat. Like if I was rolling up to Club Omaha,
Uh-huh.
boom, I'd have this on, and they'd be like, "Usually we don't allow hats in here, but you come to the front of the line." Okay, your story about your hat. I interrupted because you stared at my hat. Very stylish. Look at
And
that.
now we're talking about
I
Asian
just-
elephant.
It is
I could
the
wear- I
opposite of
could-
stylish. It literally doesn't
I got-
have anything on top
I got
of
a
it.
lot of Christmas events coming up, like special, like charity things.
Oh, please wear a suit and wear that hat. That'd be
That's-
great.
That's what I'm doing.
Woody Hayes used to wear a shirt and tie with a hat.
People say I'm a trend center.
All I was gonna say, I mean, this is duped what I was going to say. This is the same style of hat that you have. I thought I lost this hat. Like I thought it was gone forever.
Yeah,
And then I went
left
to
it
go.
at somebody's house.
I went to go and get my hair cut.
Oh my
no,
God.
Jesus!
You left it
I know
at
where
the
this
place.
is going. You left it at your barber.
So I'm
They still
I'm
had it?
there, and I
All right,
walk
welcome in,
in,
everybody. It is a
and I'm talking to Paulie, and we're just talking.
Morning,
and in the
Paulie.
corner of my eye, I see the hat is on like on a coat rack, and I'm like, and then he goes and I didn't know if Paul wore it to the barber shop that day, and I didn't want to be like, hey man, the hat you've been wearing is actually my hat. So he cuts my hair, and then we go ahead, and I go to pay out. I go, hey, by the way, like that hat right there, is that? And he goes, no, nobody's. And I go, that's mine. And I took it. And I went home. I found my hat.
It checks out.
Yeah, makes sense.
I
I'm
get
glad
why you got
found
a
the
hat in
It's a good
Miami.
looking-
though.
It's a good looking hat.
Are you going to put a logo on that hat?
No, people can wear hats and they have nothing. You know what?
You look like one of those superheroes who is trying to be incognito in movies. You know, that is like when they did you grab that off of a set in Florida?
Or Matt Rule when he visited for that Illinois game a few years
Yeah,
ago.
like when people are trying to not be seen,
Tying it all back together.
that is the hat they wear.
It's a conversation starter.
No, it's not.
Literally,
I
yeah.
don't
You
want to
started
start
a conversation.
No, I started a conversation because that's our job. If I were out with you first off, you know what? It would be a conversation starter if you were my really good friend and they went out and they were wearing that hat. Then I would make jokes. I'd be
That's
like,
the point.
why are
Hey,
you wearing that?
I should have worn this to live, but you know what? Because I would have fit in. Because I stood and hung out with Trey Songz and Fabulous
Right.
right next to a guy that was dressed like he was going to play polo. Dude,
But-
he had the helmet on.
wait, he had the helmet on?
Hit the boots.
I tried.
How did you not get a picture of this guy? How did you not get a picture
The guy
with
was
this
like
guy?
6'5", like 270, and would have crushed me.
Maybe
But he was a cool dude. He had this thing where he would point to like a bouncer, and all of a sudden somebody would appear next to him. It was quite amazing.
Were you
quite
next to Prince William?
Like the
Who were
Fonz.
you?
He wasn't Prince William. He was maybe Prince Williams.
So he was wearing this. He was wearing this hat.
Yep. All right. Welcome in, everybody. It is a Wednesday. We are glad to have you in. I can speak on behalf of Matt and all the Creighton fans out there. 8 p.m. tips suck.
Yes,
It is
thank
not
you.
Creighton's fault. It is not Nebraska's fault. It is not Omaha's fault when they play these 8 p.m. games in the Central Time Zone at home that are on TV. We never think about radio, but 8 p.m. tips absolutely suck. So the people that made it downtown last night, good on you. I noticed they announced 15,742. Now,
No way.
TV, by the way, True TV.
Is that what it was on?
Hey, the
Okay.
TNT and the True TV, their presentation, and ESPN had bangers of games last night too. Their presentation is really good. The picture looks great, but you know how they shoot games at the
Mhm.
Chai.
Mhm.
You really can't get a sense of if it's a little light in the shorts and the seats. So I don't know if that was accurate or not, but that's what they announced last night. But you know what? For everybody that made it there, good on you, because it's not easy to go to a Creighton game because of our lovely city is torn the F up downtown.
Right.
But 8 o'clock tips, they're not good.
They suck.
They're not good for anybody.
That was not fun.
What time did you get out of here last night?
11:35.
Oh, that's
Oh,
not bad at
wow.
all, because the game ended at 10.
Yeah.
Man.
John,
2.5
I
hours
think
into
John
training.
I think he was very cognizant of like McMaster's got to host a show in the morning, so I think
Yeah.
he went a little bit quicker on his post game, but we still didn't get on the air until like 10.
You really think John
38.
did that for you?
And then we
I
went-
bet he did. I bet he
Yeah,
did. I mean,
nice of it.
plus, you got to understand, Bishop's old.
Well, he wants to get
he's
home. I
getting-
think
he's
it's
getting
more
tired.
that.
He's got to drive
So-
an hour back to Lincoln.
Yeah.
and then
So he's probably like, I'm out.
and then we did 50 minutes. We did 50 minutes of post game on Nichols. And so
Whoa,
Yeah.
what will Sunday be like?
well, I told
Here we go. We have made it, by the way. We are now there. We are now to Sunday.
I'm going to be honest with you. The Nichols post game turned into the Nebraska pregame. That's
what
kind
it
of-
should be.
That's kind
Other
of
than
what it
just
happened.
Give me a little, hey, transition offense looked really good last night. Nick Graves, boom, boom, get it out, boom,
Bang.
boom.
Did you
Corner
end with
three.
a go big
Here we
Fred?
go.
No.
Defense going to be a problem. All right, defense going to be a problem all season long.
Yeah.
Hudson Greer, it's
Tough.
the season from hell with injuries. It is actually in this town because Omaha has a plethora of injuries.
Uh-oh.
Creighton has a plethora of injuries. Basketball sucks in this town.
There we
okay?
go.
But injuries are even more. And I was bummed to see that Hudson Greer showed up last night
Tough.
with a boot on his foot. So there you go. There are your 3 topics. And then you're right. You're on to
You
Nebraska.
did a great job. I don't know if you listened to the show or not, but that's kind
I
of
did.
exactly what
I did.
Oh, did you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No,
I-
because when the Creighton game was ending and I had the quad box going
Sure.
last night, and I had another
In the
thing I
safety
was,
and warmth of your
another
home.
thing I was watching. Yeah, I wasn't going out last night. Plus, I had to prep for tonight's Omaha game against Northern Colorado. So you had Duke and Kentucky, or North Carolina and Kentucky were
Yeah.
finishing. KU and UConn were still going on.
Great games.
Yeah. So I'm sorry I didn't listen to you.
I thought for a second you were just, you're listening in support of me.
I have full faith that it's a solid show with
Oh, it
you
was
and
fun.
Joey.
No,
But you're on to Nebraska, and we finally made it. And you know what? Just let it rip, everybody.
The
let it
reason
rip for the next couple of days before Sunday at 4:00.
the reason you mentioned that, or the reason I mentioned, did you listen to the show? Is that's exactly what we talked about. Like the offense looked better. They had 24 assists on 36 made shots, and there is going. I said this at one point. I go, the whole year there are going to be moments where it's like that defense was bad. Like that was a bad defensive possession.
Yeah, there's sometimes where Creighton can't defend a parking cone.
No, there were moments where Nichols, 0-6 Nichols, was putting the ball firmly on the ground and getting to the rim.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't happen as much as it was happening.
Creighton got what they needed last night. They had some time off. They were playing a bye game, and they were able to look closer to what you think Creighton should look like.
Sure.
But that defense is going to be...
Shot 61% from the floor. Nick Graves was 15% from 3 entering the game. And that was big.
Their transition offense looked similar to what I think it could be. But we're on to Sunday, and I tell you what, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Okay, so this is
not a bit. You guys,
because I know
it's me against the world at 16-20 the zone.
That's not true.
That is true.
That's not true.
That is true.
That's not true.
It's me against the world.
It's not true.
Nebraska will be a 4-point favorite in that game on Sunday, and I don't like it.
So this is one of
not a bit.
Okay, but this is one of those things, Gary, where with the Chiefs, right?
I see what you're doing
with the Chiefs.
I see what you're doing.
You guys have been so good to the point where it's like that you're better, and hey, it doesn't matter what the storyline is or what people are like amping this up to be. Like, I know my team is going to go out there and perform because my team is going to go out there and perform, and I'm sure at some point the Chiefs got over a hump where you started to believe that. Is this one of those things? This is very Bears fan of you. So where your team is playing very well, your team is performing at a high level. Your team is going to be favorites at home. Everything is pointing in the right direction, and yet you think they're going to lose solely based on
No. I don't think Nebraska is going to lose.
But you're very nervous.
But you're
very nervous solely based on things that have happened in the past and not things that have happened in the present.
Okay, so here's what scars me. Now, this is
great. Hey, this is a me thing.
The simple math thing here is,
sure, go ahead.
If Nebraska wins on Sunday, they would have won 3 of the last 4 times against Creighton. Okay. At the end of the year, Creighton is better. But on one day in December, Nebraska would have won 3 of 4 if they win on Sunday. But this is why I hate this. And you're right. This is the past. So again, this is one of those years where Creighton appears to be down and they're still trying to figure things out. Nebraska's playing well. By the way, national people, when you're putting lists together about top 10 transfers, there's a guy from Iowa, Baby Sanford.
Yeah.
He's having a nice start to the season. Maybe throw him on a list. Okay. Just saying.
Great take.
But this is one of those years where, okay, Fred, hey, they're coming to your house, baby. You're going to be a favorite. You're supposed to beat them. You're closer to being ranked than Creighton is.
Yeah.
You flip roles. Essentially, that's what Creighton and Nebraska have done coming into this game is they flip roles. But so this is where I'm like, okay, because the times, and I've seen a lot of Nebraska basketball, times when you're supposed to beat somebody, I have December 8th. 2018, young Matt.
Yep.
It was also a late afternoon game. That game was like at 5:00. When the Nebraska-Creighton rivalry becomes like bigger outside the borders, maybe we'll play at normal times.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so we're playing at 4:00 on Sunday. Played that game at 5:00. Pinnacle Bank Arena was packed. Okay, people are excited. People were hammered in the rail yard. I mean, I saw it firsthand. I saw a young co-ed was sitting on the curb. She didn't know if the ball was puffed or stuffed, okay? She was having a rough day, but people were fired up. They walked in there because you remember, Nebraska was ranked. And you're like, here we go. Can you feel it? And you know what happened?
They lost.
They got beat to 94-75.
My God.
Well, so the last couple of times, I mean, the Superstar game, Nebraska got
tough.
beat by 29. That's the last time Creighton was at PBA. So a little bit of the 18 game, kind of like just hey, let the game breathe.
Sure.
We got until Sunday. Fred, bully ball.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
Bully ball, points in the paint, bam, at the rim, bam, and they got a shot. But I am always cautious of a get-right game where the stakes are high and Creighton for a resume needs it.
Yeah.
I look at the Big East. Marquette and Valparaiso was a tough watch last night. Marquette won in overtime. UConn is above everybody else. UConn is the real deal. Man, what they were able to do at Allen Fieldhouse last night, and they're still not at full strength.
They ended up winning?
Yes, they did.
Oh, that's because Kansas wore those ugly uniforms.
No.
Wear the classic uniforms.
I thought that was
for
I thought that was a great uniform matchup last night.
I was a
See,
big fan.
those alternates are okay, but when for such a great matchup between those two programs, you got to wear the classic.
So Solo Ball was playing abysmal basketball to start the season, and his last two games he has stepped up and has won them games against ranked opponents. One of the Big Ten, one of the Big East.
Like if Mullins is legit,
yeah,
and it looks like he is for UConn, and you add him. I mean, Alex Caravan will not leave stores.
No,
he's still there.
That's what I thought.
They're scary. They're really, really scary. But the Big East isn't having a very good non-con.
No,
I mean that's a huge win for the Big East, but that's a UConn win. So I'm always afraid of the get right game because I've seen it too much in this series.
Sure.
So we got a couple of days. So let this breathe. Have some fun with it.
You made me nervous.
No, don't be nervous.
Well,
just there. This is Nebraska is a NCAA type team, and they're in a conference that has the three best teams in college basketball:
Michigan State,
Michigan, and Purdue.
Yeah.
Okay. So
after Zach,
they're gonna get a little shrapnel and be able to fly maybe into the NCAA tournament on the shrapnel, even if you're 10th or 11th in that league. But this is like a really good prove it game because I think people are all right. Football's over. Let's go fighting Freds. Ooh, I like what you're doing. I see some things. Okay, I like this team.
Yeah.
I like that Sam Hoiberg and Rink Mass live together and they talk about going to the NCAA every morning when they get up and they're eating their Fruit Loops at the table.
Nice.
They're like,
do you think they're eating Fruit Loops?
Yeah, they are. Okay.
They're
There's
kids.
no way there's no way.
They are.
They are high level athletes. First off, Sam Hoiberg is built like Cock Diesel. Like I know he's a smaller guy, but
More
if you've
reason
ever
to
like
eat
talked
Fruit
to him or
Loops.
hung out with him, he is ripped.
You high school basketball players in Lincoln are going to be very fortunate. Sam Hoiberg is going to be doing some games on the radio.
Oh, okay.
He's a journalism
That is
student.
awesome. He came on the show back in Lincoln. He was awesome.
He was on with us 2 weeks ago on the Average Joe Sports Show podcast.
He's got a great voice.
Yes, he does. But him and Rink live together and they talk about it. So yeah, I mean, because before they get out of their place and they have to be like athletes, you can dabble and have some Fruit Loops. But they talk
can't. I don't want them dabbling.
They sit at the table and they talk about going to the NCAA and making a run, not just getting there. And then they talk about the phenomenon that they have to explain to newbies about what a J-sker is.
Oh,
But it'll be, you know what will be ideal on Sunday?
will be ideal.
The Creighton basketball fan mixed with the Nebraska football fan, they will be able to do comparisons and you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Nebraska misses Nash and Ty, right? Creighton misses Kalkbrenner. Okay, it's perfect. So I'm here for this. I wish this game outside the borders were bigger, but that's on Nebraska.
Well,
Nebraska needs to make this game bigger and be where Creighton is when this game is usually played, but the roles are flipped. So I'm just telling you, I've December 8th, 2018, that has scarred me. Okay. So,
I get it.
all right.
I get it. I totally get it. You're coming from a fan that is incredibly scarred. Hell, my team, has a very good shot at moving over the scars on Sunday. And I'm not talking about Nebraska. I'm talking about the Bears.
Oh,
I kind of feel the same way.
Oh yeah.
It's funny you say the national media, once they find out this is bigger, we should put Nick Graves and Nick Schwartz on some sort of True TV or TNT panel to talk about Nebraska Creighton because they compared it to Duke, North Carolina. They both, both did it. I don't know if they both knowingly. Schwartz said it first, and then Graves said it was like, yeah, we don't know a ton about this rivalry, but we know about Duke, North Carolina, and this seems, pretty similar into how
almost
people care
identical
about it.
Actually,
no, it's not.
Oh yeah,
Storied rival. Well, okay, so I want to. This is a. Don't listen to anybody that says, it's just one game. It isn't.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I agree.
I know the knock
Microcosm
has been it doesn't mean as much to Nebraska. Yes, it does. Okay. It means a lot to Creighton, it means a lot to Nebraska. But once the game's over, they do have bragging rights, but you're on to the next one because you both play in difficult conferences. But this game means a lot to both sides. The thing to do with this game, and again, for us, just in the border, outside of the border,
Mm-hmm.
but it is Big East, Big Ten. Is you got to get it away from like 4:00 on a Sunday against the NFL. Like, can we get this?
So bad.
I
It is so
once
bad.
advocated.
I just accept this tradition.
At one time, you had coaches that were like, "Hey, let's play this game twice," and then you had Barry Collier who said, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't play it." That's stupid.
Let's go.
Okay, Nebraska and Creighton should play in every single sport, women's soccer as well. Okay, and because they haven't played as much. And I asked that question. I was like, John Walker, how come you don't play Creighton? I'm like, no, don't play Creighton. All right,
They played
Nebraska
on a Friday night last year. That was bad too.
Well, because of the Wisconsin game,
right?
The Wisconsin football game. So
That was annoying.
there was cooperation, and they moved it to Friday night, and so that was convenient. But it's on a 4. So that game in 18 was at 5:00. This game is at 4:00. The NFL is going on. If they could get it in a weeknight where it's kind of a standalone game, maybe it gets more, and maybe it gets, it can't go on ESPN.
Well,
but like it's FS1 is the TV partner for Sunday. I don't know. It Nebraska's got to help it make it bigger, okay? Because Creighton's established. Nebraska needs to consistently either beat Creighton and have this game be a matchup of ranked teams. And also, let's get a little more hate. There already is hate. Let's get a little bit more hate.
Well,
let's be like Cincinnati and Xavier, okay? And let's just have hate. Okay, so where there might be fights on the floor and fights in the stands, and then maybe we get more attention and people are like, I got to put this game on big. I got to put it in a good time slot every year.
I think that if you want to get more hate, Nebraska just has to keep winning. They just have to keep winning this matchup and piss Creighton fans off to the point where it's just like, hey, we're supposed to be the football school, yet basketball isn't even our second most important sport. It's volleyball, and yet we're beating you at your most important sport, right? Is Creighton, you're and then you got to get into the whole poverty program and all the childish insults and everything like that. Then you'll build up the hate.
Well, here's what'll happen. So we'll build it up on this radio station. We are the home of the Jays. And then Matt Rule, in the middle of Sunday afternoon, will announce his new defensive coordinator, along with their bowl destination.
Now that would be slick.
And then things will just be, they'll be like, who cares? Postpone the game. I got to talk about Justin Wilcox.
It's funny. 4:00 on Sunday might be.
No, I don't know anything.
Okay.
I just threw that name out there.
4 p.m. on
but
Sunday.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
4 p.m. on a Sunday might be the worst time ever, just because that the NFL games not only are going on, the NFL games are ending and are in the fourth quarter, and at the highest moments, they're at the peaks of their excitement, while the Nebraska Creighton game will also be at the very end. But what this game is tuning up for more than anything, Gary Sharp, is John Rothstein is going to have a tweet during this game, and everyone's going to be like, John, it's Sunday. It's the NFL. What are you doing? Like, why is John Rothstein tweeting about this random ass Nebraska Creighton game going on? That's what this is going to tune up for. He'll just be like, I don't. Is it a standalone power game? Because it might. I very well could.
It might be
the doubleheader.
It's actually. I mean, the Saturday slate in college basketball is really, really good. I haven't looked outside of Nebraska Creighton, but he'll do
Omaha in the middle of America or.
Oh, I hope he doesn't.
Oh, okay. If Creighton wins.
Well, I mean, you'll have a good post game show then.
If Creighton wins,
yeah, you'll be a little torn.
Yeah,
right. Coming up on the show, the lineup, by the way, brought to you by the Roof Freezer John Higgins Weather Guard. Last night would have been a perfect night to turn on the game from Allen Fieldhouse and watch KU and UConn play. And there is John Higgins and Kip Kissinger officiating. But Higgy, of course, is retired. Kip did work the game last night. But their lineup brought to you by the Roof Freezer John Higgins Weather Guard. Jay Moore will join us coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll talk to John Walker, the beat writer for Creighton. We'll get into some volleyball as well, because we are a volleyball state, and we have two teams that are loading up to go to Kansas City. 6 to get there. By the way, good call on Bergen Riley winning Player of the Year. How is Andy Jackson not unanimous?
I don't understand that either.
On a Big Ten all-conference team that has like 37 people. Okay, but how is Andy Jackson not unanimous?
I don't know. I guess
she
setting
hit
a record.
559.
I know. Setting a record that doesn't do you enough. But there's probably a little jealousy. There's probably.
I could put the whole roster, even people that are redshirting on there, and people are like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
John Walker will join us coming up at 9, and then Brandon Vogel stops by at 9:40. That is the lineup brought to you by the Roof Freezer John Higgins Weather Guard. When we come back, all of this fun and excitement that we've had here in the first segment, It's a sad day. It's a very, very sad day.
Why is it a sad day?
It's a sad day.
F
All
being
the-
good,
all the
I'm
T's.
going to bump. I was trying to raise up the mood.
We can't play
No,
the
you
song.
can't because it has a swear word in the very beginning.
It has more than a swear word,
That's a couple.
but I
I'm a
mean,
bad.
I was playing for the boys when I came in this morning
You
because this is
were.
my new song,
Mhm.
"Girls in the Hood," which is mixed with "Staying Alive" by Megan Thee Stallion.
Great artist.
Oh, it's got a beat to it. Like when you're driving, you're like,
She
Oh, yeah.
really
You're-
outkicked her coverage. She's dating Clay Thompson. That's
That's who it
incredible
was.
for her.
Didn't
I
Clay
think I
name
knew
his boat after her?
The Stallion?
He did something. He named something after
Does
Megan Thee Stallion, which you guys might be surprised that I know this.
Oh, go. I don't. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not surprised about anything.
I don't think that's her real name.
You don't think her name is Megan?
We have it in our.
He named it the SS Stallion. Is his dog? Does he still has his dog Rocco?
I don't know. I saw him play last week in person.
Probably slow. and
He
old.
he looks a
Yeah.
little old.
So I watched one Mavericks game, and that was one. I'm like, he's
Yeah.
kind of he's now like the Kevin Love on the 2015 Cavs, where he just kind of stands in the corner, but Clay kind of stands on the wing more than he does in the corner. It's tough to watch.
All right. Speaking of the NBA, Oklahoma City won again last night. They won 13 in a row. Oh, by the
What?
way, they're 21-1.
Okay, why aren't we talking about that? Nobody is talking about that.
Because
Nobody is talking about the
we-
fact that the Thunder are on
people-
track to lose 4 games. this year.
People want to talk about Justin Wilcox. They don't want to talk about the Oklahoma
Nobody cares
City
about
Thunder.
Oklahoma.
Screw the greatest team of all time. Where's Scott Simons at? Where's he at? Jim Leonard.
People do know that plane that was in Dallas, Dannon was at the college football playoff
Yes.
committee thing. So that's
Yes.
okay.
Did you hear about the whole theory about the current Penn State plane, where the Penn State plane went to Kentucky, and people thought at first they were getting Mark Stoops, but it's actually they might be getting Brian Hartline's brother, who's on the Kentucky staff. So they go and they get Brian Hartline's brother, then they go to Columbus and get Brian Hartline, and then they bring him to Penn State.
We will we'll talk about the Penn State search that rivals the Nebraska 04 search.
So
We'll
bad.
do that as we roll till 10. Good lineup. Let's get your hump on today. There is lots to discuss. We will get into Creighton's beatdown of Nichols last night, won by 20 here on the Zone, the good, the bad, and some ugly or some familiar. But there was other familiar things that Creighton did last night that you go, oh, that's what Creighton does. Ahead of Nebraska and Creighton on Sunday at 4
Should be a good one.
on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in on a Wednesday. Glad to have all of you, wherever you may be consuming the program, or later in the day, or later in the year. However you get, Gary and Matt with Jimmy. Glad to have you in. A little bit later, Jay Moore will stop by. His thoughts on what does Nebraska do moving forward with their new defensive coordinator, and how attractive a job it is. If you look at the pieces that are left that you'd have to work with, we'll get into that with.
Sorry.
Was that a? I think that was a. Was that a not an excited?
Or did you
No,
yawn?
if we were grunting the slate, that would be like, yeah,
You don't like what you would
there are some good pieces.
acquire if you were a new defensive coordinator.
There are for sure some good pieces.
Okay.
If I still get Andrew Marshall back, if I get hone in on Vincent Shavers and Dawson Merritt is a
Mhm.
what we would call a guy who could potentially be a hit sticker. And even though the defensive line didn't develop the way that you thought they might this season, that doesn't mean that they're not talented and they still can't do that.
Maybe in more even front, they will be more successful.
Sure.
What do you think will happen with Willis McGahee?
I don't know.
Redshirted this year.
That was a guy who he came along at the end of the season.
Yeah.
He had a really good Iowa game. He had a good game against Boston College. You saw the flashes of like, hey, this dude could be a legitimate pass rusher coming off the edge on Jack. And then he showed up, what was it, third on the depth chart on the Jack position behind Ochoa, I believe.
Yep.
And you were like, that's kind of
Well, there's another guy that kind of
disappeared. Yeah, big time. And then, Dylan Rogers came in to kind of take over that position after McCullough, was injured and couldn't play. And then you saw what you saw from Dylan Rogers to the point where you're like, okay, it's not great, but hey, he's serviceable. And this is a guy who's playing his first action. Like you can see. So all that to say, I don't know what's going to happen, but talk about a guy you go from, at least I was looking at him like, oh, he could be a big piece of this defense, a big future piece of this defense. And he's kind of just, he's out there.
It's a sad day.
Why?
It is a sad day because, as things change and you get a little bit older and things change, period, you'll get this as you get a little bit older.
Okay.
But you got to adapt to change. I don't like this change that makes this be a sad day. I used to look forward to this day. I used to be extremely excited.
Mm-hmm.
This used to be a holiday. I knew people
Shout out
that
fax machines.
took this day off in February, the first Wednesday in February, because it was National Letter of Intent Day. It was National Signing Day. It was a big day where if you'd had a crappy season, you would have some hope, okay? And all of the film that you broke down on your own, all of a sudden the coaches would be going through 35 different prospects. And by the end of the 35th breakdown of a player that you don't even know, you're like, we're winning the Natty. It was a big, big day. But today is where we're at because today is National Letter of Intent Signing Day. It is, everybody knows the deal around here. It's a small class.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of rankings, it isn't going to look really good.
No.
But got to kind of go inside of the numbers. You can't spin it over the top on Nebraska's recruiting class because it doesn't have a defensive line prospect. You missed out on a couple of key guys during the stretch. You haven't had a commitment since the 1st of July.
It's wild.
We know kind of the parameters of why they're a little bit smaller. But today, around the country, there will be shows, there will be analysts that will break down recruiting classes. And it seems like around here, it's not only sad that it's been squashed by the portal, it'll be very quiet. But I have noticed Rule speaks at 11.
Yeah.
They might have all of their class in because they keep tweeting out everybody that has signed.
Sure.
They have almost everybody. They added an Australian kicker yesterday. So the only flip would be Devin Jackson, the 4-star defensive back from Oregon. I don't think that's going to happen. They're waiting on Saab, the slot wide receiver from New Jersey. He could make it 11.
Okay.
But I don't think they're going to have – they're not going to pull a James Franklin.
Yeah.
Who James Franklin is just fleecing Penn State. But you know what? While you might feel bad about Nebraska's recruiting class that is 17th in an 18-team league, Penn State has been surpassed by Missouri State and Montana State.
That's so bad.
Okay.
That's brutal.
So I think they have 5 high school kids who are just signing because they want to be We Are.
They only have 5 high school kids?
Well, yeah, because their class has fallen apart.
That is insane.
They don't have a coach.
That is insane.
They don't have a coach.
That's crazy.
Who you're signing because
I didn't know it
mom
was
and
that
dad
bad.
went to Penn State and you want to be there on whiteout.
Well, aren't those the kids that we need? Aren't those the kids that we were looking for? Isn't that what Old Man Doug is talking about? Old Man Doug comes in here and he talks about we need guys for the end. We need guys who are playing for Nebraska, not for leverage. So I think Penn State won. I think they won the high school recruiting cycle. They got 5 guys who all they care about is Penn State.
I mean, who do you
or maybe they don't have better offers.
As a fan now, so a little bit on Nebraska's recruiting class. There's all but 2 that will enroll early. Ainsworth and Jace Reynolds from Elkhorn North are not going to enroll early. Everybody else will, including the Australian kicker that committed yesterday.
Yeah.
Side note, Kyle Cunanan had a good year.
Very good
What was
year.
he, 16 of 19 and then 43 for 43?
I think it was 17 for 21, if I'm not mistaken. I can look that up. But I talked about this. I think you were gone. And I said, no one's really talking about the fact. I think I was on with Vogel. I was with Brand Vogel. And I go, is Kyle Cunanan the most underrated player on this team? Because he just goes up there and for the most part, he stepped up and made kicks. And I think he had that rough little stretch where he hadn't kicked in Memorial Stadium a whole lot. And so he was kind of learning how to do it. He made some, I know that they ended up losing by 24, and so it didn't really end up mattering. But he made 3 back-to-back kicks in Memorial Stadium against Iowa. When was the last time somebody, a Nebraska kicker, made 3 straight kicks against Iowa in that weather at Memorial Stadium?
Iowa JD, when they eulogize Rule next year. It seems awful harsh.
It's very harsh.
And he's fired by Halloween, which will not happen. Not offering 13 of the 14 kids in state will be indefensible. Now, that'll be a thing about this class is what if the plethora of Millard South kids go on and have big college careers?
Yeah.
I mean, that's attached to the 26 class. But let me ask you this. Rule, Miles, Scott, and Sarakesis is, I think, the Australian kicker, how you pronounce his name. They are already in to this morning in Nebraska's recruiting class. As a fan, they got a dog in Danny Odom.
Yeah.
They got a dog in an offensive tackle, Claude, and Puma. Okay? That is a tackle name.
It is.
But those 2 guys need to be on the field next year. Luke Sorensen, I really like the tight end from Southern California. I'm not so much on Rule, the running back, but a little bit, some other people that follow him a little bit closer or higher on him. Are you more excited to get a Danny Odom, who is close to a 5-star?
Yeah.
Or get a former 4-star in the portal that has played at a Power 4 school but hasn't broken through yet?
Danny Odom.
Okay, thank you.
Danny Odom.
Thank you.
Sure.
It keeps today alive.
Yeah.
But I get that the portaling, which comes a month after.
Yeah.
I mean, we are a month away from portal season. Why that has squashed the signing day in December, because I mean, high school recruiting around the country, especially in basketball, is like less.
Sure.
But again, kind of a sad day for us recruitniks. It's a big day for some programs. Look at USC. USC is going to sign like 700 kids. But I just want to say that we eulogize what used to be signing day in February.
I want to throw this out here because I feel like I've been in the minority in this stuff, and I'm curious on your opinion. That's a great question. Would you rather have a former 4-star from a team that he was on another team for 1 year and then he comes to your team, or would you rather have a high school prospect?
Would you rather have Danny Odom? You get more excited about Danny Odom, who's played in high school in Orlando, Florida, hasn't played in college yet, or Tyreek Johnson, who played in the same state in high school, was a high 4-star, went to Ohio State, couldn't get on the field, but is transferring to Nebraska.
So we would get really excited about Jacob Hood, or we would get really excited about.
No, I didn't.
You did it. But I'm talking about fans. I'm talking about general fans.
Because you looked at where he came from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you get really excited about, he's a former 5-star coming from this school, or he's a former 4-star coming from this school. I always looked at it as well, now I know for sure that school has a better tackle than I do. Or now I know for sure that school has a better corner than I do. I don't know. There's always a little, in my opinion, there's always a little bit of a stain with those guys, because it's if it were up to them, they would have gone there, played there, it would have all worked out. Now, I know that there are some cases where it's like, okay, hey, there might be personal reasons or their grass is greener. Like, I don't know the full situation, but more times than not, it's just they can't get on the field. I always looked at it as like, well, it's great that you're here and it's great that you're talented, but like you couldn't do it there. So now I'm supposed to get excited that you can do it here. What does it say about my program that like all of the rejects from Florida and Georgia are coming over here to
no,
come
no,
and play,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't go there because sometimes guys need a Zion Williamson. They need a change of scenery, like Sierra Wright. Sierra Wright came to Nebraska and took off.
Williams Winery, like that's
sure he's still out. He's still young,
but I'm more saying like you need to change of scenery. But like when you get an overabundance of those guys, like some of them they're not gonna just have panned out. Just, it is what it is. I'd rather get a fresh, molded high school player, a little bit raw, where I can take you and I can make you into something.
Now, if things progress and Rule lives on his ceiling, which I think the Matt Rule ceiling is 8-4, and you have an 8-4 season next year, and you keep that class together, just forward a year from now, because as we pointed out yesterday, Nebraska's composite ranking 108th. Their it's changed?
No, it's bad. It's bad. That's why I'm saying it's like, ugh.
I'm trying to figure out your grunts.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've had bad grunts today. I got to fix that.
Your grunts all sound the same.
No, that was different. I go, and then I went,
I don't think is a grunt. I think is a grunt.
What's is that a hum?
I think that's just a
Is it a weak grunt?
I think it's a meh. I think a grunt is
Okay, stop it right now.
Danny
Stop
Odom.
Stop it. I don't want to hear that in my headphones.
108th this year, and it may change. The recruiting services may love an Australian kicker. To next year, the 5th overall class.
That'd be great.
Gonna be an interesting year, but it's important, as small as the 26 class is, that they keep as many guys together as possible and guys get on the field sooner. Why do other schools get true freshmen or redshirt freshmen at line on the offensive line on the field sooner than Nebraska does? Why do guys have to come to Nebraska and as a redshirt freshman, they're still not seeing the field? As a redshirt sophomore, they're maybe seeing a series here or there. I look at big boy schools who big boy recruit offensive linemen, and they're able to get those guys on the field. Nebraska is getting a guy at tackle, a position where Nebraska has struggled to recruit and develop, and the best tackles seem to be guys that are guards. That go and play tackle. You finally got a guy that, instead of going, I don't know about his recruiting rankings because he was playing in Kansas and he might take a while to develop, and that's Corcoran, is you're getting a guy out of Chicago who's played against high-level competition, who everybody that has watched him in person and scouts and all that, like, okay, this kid's legit, big win for Nebraska. He needs to be somewhere on a depth chart next fall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to, guys, there's a lot of pressure on this class for guys to get on the field sooner than later, but stay together. So in 2 years, we don't go, man, that 26 class was bad, and now there's only 3 guys left.
Yeah. Well, first off, Claude and Puma, congratulations. Mount Carmel beat Oswego East yesterday in the Class 8A state championship game in Illinois, 42-21. Absolutely.
Thank you for the update.
So, I mean, also too, you when I'm talking about Claude, right? It's just one of those things where it's like he's going to have the opportunity to do it based on like where the current depth chart is for the offensive line. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely will suck if in like 2 years they're like, wow, they have 3 juniors. They just have no upperclassmen, or they just have completely lost the class of 2026. That would be, I don't care how you've scheduled it out, right? Where 2024s are here and 2027s are here. Like, that would be a bad look if you just have a missing class.
Rule speaks at 11 this morning, kind of tells you they'll have all their class in early. I know he'll be asked about John Butler and the pursuit of a defensive coordinator, which I think will happen pretty quick. I think Nebraska will get their I think Nebraska definitely will have their DC before the bowl game. Okay. They will have it in place. I mean, that makes sense because you got to go shopping. And you also are going to have some coaches around the country. They're going to have to make decisions on staffs that are opening up. Ideally, Nebraska, Matt Rule pulls a Brent Venables. He gets a coordinator that either brings a player or brings an assistant coach.
Yeah.
Because you're not hiring a DC and letting him go, hey, you have to assume that guy, that guy, that guy. You're probably going to say, hey, go ahead and go out there and go shopping. So be curious today, Rule, when did he make the final decision on Butler? Was it after the Minnesota press conference that John Butler had?
That was,
or was it after what he saw the last two games and how he spins this class?
I wonder if someone's going to ask him, hey, what do you think about John Butler? One of his last press conferences saying, hey, straight up, we have to get better players in the defensive line.
I don't think he liked that. I don't think he liked his DC talking about portaling.
Yeah, he straight up, Butler just straight up said, we don't have good enough players in his last press conference.
Whole question, was John Butler way too honest for Nebraska football?
He said, if I were a team, I would run the football against us. Well, you know what, John? You got your wish.
Yeah.
You got what you asked.
I don't think probably it was ideal to talk about we got to go into the portal or I was coaching scared. It would have been a good moment to be Baghdad Bob.
Probably.
All right.
Credit to them.
Jay Moore, John Walker, Brandon Vogel. We're going to cover everything on this Wednesday of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome in. It's signing day. James Franklin going to have a big day. Vanderbilt going to have a big day as they have flipped a 5-star quarterback from Georgia to Vanderbilt. Let me throw this out there, then we're going to get to Chuck because we're going to go down under. You know, I like to sit around and compare and sometimes whine and, well, man, if they can do it, why can't we do it?
Sure.
Are people around here more triggered by Indiana or Vanderbilt?
Indiana, because it's in your conference, and Indiana used to be a game where Nebraska fans would look at it on the schedule and say, win, even if it were like, if it were true or not, they go, win. That's a win. We're a traditional football program. They're not a traditional football program. We put more resources into football. We're going to beat them. They're a basketball school. That's how it used to be. Indiana's basketball school. Who cares? And now they are 12-0.
But isn't
2 seed?
Isn't Nebraska's plan? I know this is like just taking her down, but they're 10-2, and they're going to have a guy in New York City, and they just got a 5-star quarterback that stayed home and flipped from Georgia to Vanderbilt. Isn't Vanderbilt Clark Lee and what they're doing, because he's now in year 5, kind of what Nebraska is? They got a quarterback. Their quarterback elevated their program.
Yeah.
Nebraska's star quarterback still trying to figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
But then they got a 5-star quarterback off of success. Nebraska got Trey Taylor will be a 5-star quarterback, isn't it? Isn't it kind of like the Vanderbilt and Nebraska are probably closer and similar than you want to admit.
Oh, way more.
One guy's going into year 4. Clark Lee's finishing up year 5.
But I think that's why Indiana pisses you off more, because they just did it completely different than you did it. And they also made a hire after you made a hire, and they were able to find success quicker. But I honestly think maybe
Cignetti's been a winner wherever he's been. So
yeah.
Clark Lee, remember, they were 2-5-2. And then last year they won 7. And this year they've broken through to win 10.
Could you spin
and
it?
Now he's well paid at a school that has invested in football.
Could you spin it though in a way maybe where you're like, look, Clark Lee's in in year 5, like this is how he's building it. Nebraska might be building it in a similar way. Like Vanderbilt might be able to give you a little bit of optimism. That, you kind of see what I'm seeing what you're saying. Yeah, I'm picking up.
All right, let's start the hour with Chuck on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good, Chuck. Thanks for the phone call. Thanks for holding.
Yes, sir. So we get an Australian kicker. We have one already on the roster. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in Australia, don't they run with what they call a football too? And those guys are big and they don't wear helmets and they're pretty tough. Do they just not understand American football? I mean, why don't we get some of those guys?
Oh, you're talking about like linemen and stuff.
I'm talking about the dudes that run the ball that smash into each other.
Australian rules football.
How hard they get hit.
Yeah. That's a good question. You know what? That is, maybe if we get a chance to talk to Mike Eckler, we'll ask that question. How come those guys in Australian rules football don't end up playing American football on the lines of scrimmage? Yeah.
That's a great question, actually.
Yeah.
It's a question.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck, thanks for the phone call. You know, some of them,
Chuck.
a lot of them just continue and become professional rugby players.
Well, yeah, they have a really good system over there in terms of the Olympics and making money and playing professional football. I'm trying to find there's some people on this radio station who are trying to kind of taking
we have 16-20
here we go.
beef.
Okay.
Who do you hate?
I'm here
Who's
for
your most
this.
hated rival?
Let's go,
they were
Matty Mac.
They were disparaging.
Do they still have Twitter?
They were disparaging Archie. Okay,
That's wild. That's a wild story, by the way. That's about as wild a story of Marty Smith getting to Lane Kiffin, but continue on.
Well, I don't know. Maybe don't use TweetDeck on a third party after you've been told multiple times not
shots
to
fired.
use third party TweetDeck. I just hot take, follow the rules. Or pay for Twitter like I do, and then you make fun of me for paying for Twitter, but guess who still has his Twitter? Anyway,
Wow.
Who really laughs though?
Boy, late night Jay's overtime is you've chosen violence today.
I'm not choosing violence. I'm just giving him
No.
crap.
When I say choose violence, you're supposed to say yes. You're not supposed to say, no, I'm not.
They were disparaging Archie, and they were like, Archie's got the second lowest net punt average in the Big Ten, and Archie really, down the stretch, he wasn't really. Thank you. Take your time out.
No, continue, but
they don't understand that Archie, like, I would say 85% of the time, simply did what he was asked to do. He was asked, hey, put the ball inside the 20. Hey, pooch it, put it inside the 10. Hey,
Thank you.
go ahead, like positional kicking. He wasn't asked to, hey, we're gonna bomb the football, because if you look at Big Ten punting stats, Archie's top 10 in punts inside the 20.
Thank you. What show did that?
I think it was the crossover.
Okay. So let's get some ball knowers around here. Your stats are correct. He was 116th in net punting.
Yeah.
But what you just said is spot on. They punted. So the scheme that they did with Archie, it was a schematic punting where they played a lot of field position.
Yes.
So there are going to be some metrics that don't look good, and you immediately go, man, he wasn't a very good punter. But what they asked him to do was not just stand back there and bomb the punt 60 yards every time.
Yeah.
They played a lot of field position with him because they could.
Yes.
And so I know 116th in net punting doesn't look good, but in terms of what they asked him to do and what Eckler's philosophy is, I think they followed it to a T.
Like the Minnesota punter, right? He's got 20 punts inside the 20. He's got an average of 43. And you're like, oh, you're looking at the numbers like, oh my God, he's better than Archie. Well, actually, Archie has a higher inside the 20 punt percentage than he does, right? So more oftentimes than not, Archie's being more accurate than a punter that you might look at. I don't know why I'm now on this big old tangent on punting stats, but like, just Archie had a good year. Don't look at the stats and tell me, it was only 38 and he was 116. No, watch the games. He was asked to hit it inside the 10 against Cincinnati. He did it twice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Had a good year.
Who were the people that mentioned this?
This was
Did any of them have
Bishop and Peters?
Did any of them have your opinion, or did they?
No,
just look at
no
them
one
and-
was defending Archie, which is why I feel like I have to defend Archie. I'm an Archie guy. I love Archie. I can't wait to buy that guy a beer.
So okay. By the way, the hit on the sidelines of Penn State.
Okay, that was funny.
He was trying to get out of the way.
Was he? It didn't look like it.
So he did. He was in between. So this is the way it was explained to me.
Okay,
He was kind of in between. He didn't really know what to do. He's trying to get out of the way.
sure.
Like he didn't want to get run over.
But when in Rome,
But it happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
when in Rome,
Yeah.
if you smoke him, got him.
Yeah.
He's probably the only one that made like a big, hey, set the tone play in that entire game. So I kind of respect it. It's not like they lost that game because of that too. They lost that game because of a lot of other things. It was just really funny.
So 12 of his 32 punts were
Yeah.
inside the 20. He only had one touchback. I think it's
Nearly half his punts
yeah.
were inside the 20.
so it's the Eckler philosophy of the way they wanted to punt. They played field position because they were able to play field position with a punter more than other punters who were like bombers.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. I think you have to. That's one of those things that you could look at the numbers and you could go, whoa, 116th. But then you got to watch the football games.
yes,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
And
he was more of an asset than a
Way more.
deterrent.
well, that and like we can be honest too. He had a shank or two. I think he had like two that there were like,
Well,
all right, those are tough punts.
think
one of them went right
yeah.
into the wind
I
against
thi-
Michigan State.
I think, and considering this is his first time, punting in that stadium, and that stadium's tricky. I think when I would love to see, and I know like Stu Manji probably has this like that. I would like to know what his stats were when he went left compared to right.
Okay, that's a great point. We could probably
Because it looked like when he
only
went
32 punts.
when he went left, it was a little bit more of a struggle, or maybe I have it backwards.
I know,
But
I
there
think,
was one that was more significant than the other.
I think when he went right, he was better punting to his
Okay.
right. Is what I remember. But you talk about like, oh, that's his first time like punting in that stadium. Gary, that's his first time punting. Like he didn't learn how to punt until a couple of months ago. And so, it's an important part of the game. He'll get better. Good season, Archie. I want to throw that out there because some people are like, oh, he's only 116th in net punting. Net punting isn't everything. It's where you're placing.
Who had a better year, Kyle Cunanan or Archie Wilson?
Cunanan. So you're right. 16 and 19.
He was 3 for 3 in miserable conditions Friday in the stadium.
He was 14 of 14 from in between 20 and 40 yards. That's valuable, right? Like you would like him to be. He was 2 of 5 from 40 plus. Like him to be a little bit better there, but still.
Now the next jump is because while the specialists, and we didn't have any hiccups with long snappers or holders, the return game kind of hit the wall. And I know that Barney was not the biggest fan of returning kickoffs. And also, Barney is probably not the guy to return punts because when the wind blows, he falls down or the turf monster gets him. And I would really like to know. I mean, I think we need.
I
I'd
agree.
like to. I would like more information on Barney's year because did he get hurt early in the year, and then he couldn't play at a high level because his body language. There's a guy that I think he smiles all the time and has fun.
Mm-hmm.
There were times I watched him as the season went on. He wasn't having fun. Whether they couldn't get him open because teams were taking away the slot,
Yeah,
or he was injured and he couldn't do what he wanted. But I don't think he's your answer in the return game. I think he took one for the team because he's fast and he's elusive. But is he?
Well,
there were times that he could have broken a long punt, but the turf got him, or he got his own self. So, but I want to know, was he injured early and never was able to get back to full speed?
what if I told you? What if I'll throw this out there. Would you be surprised if I told you that very first hit he took against Cincinnati, he was hurt since then?
Dude, he got blown up.
I still can't believe he got up. That it wasn't just that he got folded. It was he got hammered as well. And I don't remember if he was limping off the field after that hit. I imagine he probably was, but I would not be surprised if since that point on he had been dealing with something. And it's also too when he came onto the scene last year as a freshman, I remember when he first got the ball, I go, whoa. There was a different type of speed. It was a different type of, we haven't seen that before. You just didn't, he's still fast, but you just didn't see that bang, that holy crap. He looked, I don't want to say he looked slower because he's still one of the fastest guys that they have on the team, but the pop just wasn't there.
Well, and then to add to that, what you're saying was there also the aspect, and this is a Holgerson thing, and offense doesn't get a pass, okay? Offense does not get a pass.
No, God, no.
Is the creativity. There were really no jet sweeps.
Well,
there was no stuff with Barney. He was more of a decoy in that aspect than actually being somebody had the ball in their hands that on a jet sweep turned the corner and Katie barred the door.
That would lead me to believe that he was hurt.
Yeah, so they use him as a decoy.
Yeah, that they don't want to put him in positions to get hit. Unless he's wide open.
Good news out of Lincoln. So the recruiting class, this is signing day if you didn't know. I'm really bummed. This is
now every day is signing day, essentially. Because we're 24/7 recruiting. No, I'm not making a pun there, but we are all day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We are all over recruiting. We are all over commitments. We are all over visits. Every day has become what this day used to be.
Danny Odom is in. So he is the 5-star cornerback who played wide receiver when he was living in Pennsylvania, moved to Florida, changed positions, and his recruitment blew up. This is a monster keep for Nebraska. From the standpoint of, as the season was moving along and some guys were coming off the board, the big boys, Michigan and Ohio State, started to kick the tires.
Yeah.
And Nebraska was able to hold on to him, to get him. He is a 5-star defensive back that they've had in this class for a while, that if he would have flipped or decommitted and gone to a fellow Big Ten school, that would not have been good at all. But as this class, and it looks like, I'm trying to keep up here, they're almost done this morning. The recruitment of Danny Odom also does one other thing. And he's kind of hurt because of John Butler. Addison Williams can recruit.
Yeah.
Addison Williams can recruit. I think Addison Williams wants to be a defensive coordinator, but you can't promote from within again.
Not this one.
So you kept Danny Odom. I think it's important to keep Addison Williams because if you look at next year's class, there's a lot of Addison Williams fingerprints, but Addison Williams with Danny Odom is a monster thing. So there's one assistant to keep. If you looked at his record, you would say, man, that guy would be a DC candidate. Maybe he is,
sure,
but Rule had already gone there with Butler, so that probably hurts Addison Williams. So I'm thinking here, doing the math and doing the current roster, and they're having the discussions about who's going to stay.
Mhm.
Are we going to give you more money? Or are we going to give you less money? And we know how bottom heavy this class is. If I'm doing the math, and maybe you've done the math, I'm thinking they probably have 10 to 12 spots open for portal.
I have not done the math, but I've kind of gone through the roster and I kind of picked out, all right, this guy might
Who you're
transfer.
getting rid of?
Yeah. I was like, this guy might go and this guy might leave. And, I like this guy, but I don't think there's a ton of opportunity here for him. And then you also have to factor in, they do, like Nebraska does have some pretty key seniors that are just leaving, that are just graduating, which is kind of weird when seniors graduate nowadays because it's just,
Why?
it just doesn't really, I just feel like it doesn't happen a whole lot. Like there used to be, there used to be like, oh my God, we're losing 27 seniors. Like now because of the
Well, they
COVID
have-
year and
well,
the
they have-
eligibility, like I never okay,
Yeah.
you lose like 12 a year nowadays. And like you're a couple of them have been on like 4 teams at that point. Regardless though, I've gone through there and I've gone through the probably not. You're right. I would say 10 to 14 is probably the range I would put it at. I think they took what? 16 last year, 14, 16 last year, somewhere around that number. So yeah, I think you're right. 12 to 14 is probably the right number. Have you looked at, first off, couple of comments here. Have you looked at Danny Odom's banner up on Twitter?
No, I don't follow players on Twitter.
It's a picture of like a blank wall, and all it says is all the odds against me. I'm a bet on myself for the win. It's very interesting. It's like he took a picture of the wall at school and then he put white font over it. And then secondly, Supreme 26. Was that their recruiting pitch?
For Nebraska?
Like, look, you see the thing? It says Supreme 26. Is that like their
So that's their theme.
is that
Just
their
been talking
theme?
pizza?
Supreme 20? Yeah. What a bunch of hype beasts over there.
Yeah, but no.
Supreme has been out.
No.
Supreme has been out for a minute.
Okay, hold on here. There is no coach in America on this day that publicly says our class sucks.
Okay.
Right.
No,
Okay,
no,
this
no.
is your day.
No.
Like
But
like everybody, even Georgia sells hope.
Wait,
okay, so this is supposed like
wait.
you can't say they're.
What do you
hype
think your
beasts.
class? I think they're all dogs.
Supreme. The
Sucks 26.
all- they all
that's
suck.
not what I'm saying.
Trash 26.
Supreme, the brand Supreme.
I know AAU basketball programs.
You don't know about the Supreme is like
I know the Supremes.
the Supreme
Right.
brand.
So yeah,
The Supreme, like their Supreme headbands, their Supreme bags, their Supreme
is this
shirts.
is this a 7-on-7 world?
No, this is Hype Beast world. This is like,
Is this Mr. Beast?
I guarantee you Dylan has like 4 Supreme shirts like in his closet. Like this
Is
Okay,
this
is
like this generation's affliction?
Yeah.
I am way out of
Supreme
this
has been
world.
a very like prominent logo brand, like
for the kids.
for the kids.
Okay, so maybe
it's like Gucci for kids.
I thought
okay,
that was
so are they
Garanimals.
sponsored? Is
Oh,
Supreme sponsoring Nebraska's graphics?
If Supreme
Ah.
gave Nebraska shirts and stuff like that, I would. It's very hype beast.
Would
It's
this,
now
would
kids
this
my
be good
age,
with your kind?
kids my age who grew up with it see Supreme, and some of us roll our eyes. They're like all the quote unquote cool kids wanted Supreme. It's
Now
kind of
they do
Okay.
6'7".
but it's kind of out, is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
which is why I'm calling them hype. They're a little late to the party, is what I'm claiming.
Ah.
Southwest Florida Dave, who knows
Hi, Dave.
that world in high school football in Florida. Yes, big one to keep. So Danny Odom is in. Tweet here before we go to break. This is from Negative Split Swimming.
That's a good one.
Actually, his name's Mike.
Okay.
He says, "Isn't there an offensive lineman on the Eagles that is a former rugby player?"
Yeah, Mailata.
Milata.
He was, big time. And he's a great singer. Jordan Mailata has a couple of Christmas albums.
And he what was that like?
He's 6'8". He's 6'8", 370.
Are you sure he's not?
That might be a Matt fact. No, he's not.
Are you sure?
Stop.
Okay.
Now I have to look.
You're sure he might not be 6'7"?
Jordan Mailata.
Which is a really good 3-and-D size. You play the
Jordan
3, you can play the
Mailata.
2.
Good call, Mike. He was like what, a 6th or 7th round pick?
Yeah, he's 6'8", 365
Why
pounds.
can he be 6'7"?
He was the 233rd overall pick in the 2018 draft. He was a 7th round draft pick. God, Howie Roseman. Think Nebraska can get Howie Roseman to be their general manager?
No, they should hire Trey Taylor. All right. Don't forget to save the date coming up this Friday and Saturday. As a vet here on the radio station, this is one of the really neat things we do throughout the year. This might be at the top of the list. It is our Stuff the Truck event coming up on Friday and Saturday over at Westwood Plaza, 123rd and West Center. You can't miss us. We're right there. Popular area. There's a popular bank, coffee shop, grocery store, all of that stuff right there. And we'll be at 123rd and West Center Friday, 3 to 6, Saturday, 11A to 4P. Toys
a
go
picture
to
with Matt.
Toys for Tots. Yeah.
I'll be there.
When will you be there?
I will be there 2:30 to 4:30
There you
on
go.
Saturday.
Okay.
Show up at 2. Get
Okay.
in line.
When will you be there, Jimmy?
Right before that.
Okay.
Me and Nick Grimm will be there
All right.
earlier in the day.
I will not be there. It is brought. I will be in Portland, Oregon.
I know.
This usually
I know you're on
happens.
the road.
Yes. Brought to you by this second straight year I've missed this, and I like this event. Woodhouse Chevrolet, Molina Healthcare of Nebraska, Westwood Plaza. That's Friday and Saturday. You guys have been great in supporting this and supporting us in this event. Our Stuff the Truck.
That's the best thing we do.
Yep, Friday and Saturday. Put it on your calendar. We'll see you out there. All the personalities from all of our radio stations will be there, and USC will be broadcasting live on Friday.
Nice.
When we come back, we'll get through some emails and some tweets, and we'll play in the chat room. This is signing day. Hey, tone will be much different next year.
Yeah. Hopefully next year we're excited. We're happy.
No. There's some things to be excited about.
Yeah, the
But
top
there's
two-
also one thing not to be excited about is there is no defensive lineman in this class.
I'm watching Danny Odom tape right now. I love that his first highlight says INT, comma, best ball skills in USA.
He is a certified, what I've been told, a blank talker that can back it up.
Nice.
Welcome to the Big Ten.
You need that.
All right, Jay Moore coming up at the top of the hour. Also, John Walker stops by. Creighton, if you missed it last night on the Zone, won by 20 over Nichols. And now we're off to the rivalry for the Hy-Vee Trophy. They don't have Bakers in Lincoln, so it has to be the Hy-Vee Trophy.
Maybe it's for the crown. Put the crown on the line.
No, Nebraska won that. They did it on their own.
Can you imagine if Creighton wins it and they're like, we don't want it. You can keep it.
It is the battle for the who gets the love of Warren Buffett. We'll talk to John Walker coming up at 9. Brandon Vogel stops by at 9:40 on 1620 The Zone. All right, looking for some basketball tonight. Go over to Baxter Arena. Good Big Sky Summit League game. The Big Sky Summit League Challenge. Northern Colorado, which is number 19 in the mid-major poll, takes on Omaha, 7 o'clock tip over at Baxter Arena. You can join us on 1290 Coil, the radio broadcast. And I was trying to think if we were on Santa Baby.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Santa Baby, 1180.
Mavs basketball on Santa Baby 1180. Just rolls
You
right
don't
off
want to
the
be on
tongue.
Santa Baby 1180?
We were on Saturday night, so I had a lot of Christmas puns.
Did you?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
You would disappoint me if not. I knew you'd come.
Yeah. Let me sticking with basketball real quick before we dive back into football, because now Creighton has played last night, so we're on to Nebraska Creighton hype for basketball. Can you feel it?
Can you feel it?
If Rink Mast is the best player on the floor on Sunday, that means what?
Nebraska wins.
If Blake Harper is the best player on the floor, that means
TBD.
okay. I'm a big fan of Blake Harper.
I
man.
am too.
When he leaves the lineup and then he comes back on the floor, it's almost like an immediate impact. But I think Rink Mast has to be the best player in the game on Sunday.
I think that if Rink Mast is the best player for Nebraska on Sunday, that means that other guys are scoring, because that means that he's going up and he's getting offensive rebounds, and he's crashing the glass, and he's cleaning up the glass in the defensive end, and he's being physical in the paint. And if you can get that from Rink, who already is a good passer, I think it'll be, if Rink can be dominant on the boards, especially on the offensive end, I think it's going to be, just shoot it, baby. Just shoot it.
But I'll be curious to see who the officials are for that game, because I think they're going to be some bully ball. I think that's the way for Nebraska to play, is to bully ball and paint touches, paint rebounds, that kind of stuff.
Do you
But
think we get a
who will
high
be
knees game?
officiating?
High knees game? I think we're due for a high knees
I don't
game.
know. This has Kelly Pfeiffer written all over it. Last night, Michigan State beat the team that is masquerading as Wisconsin and Virginia combined in the Big Ten, Ben McCollum's Iowa team.
Yeah.
That's a tough place to play. First Big Ten game as a head coach, and I like Ben McCollum. I think they're going to get it rolling. They just only have one real player in Sturtz.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best players in the country. But that style in that building, Michigan State's rolling, man. They are rolling. That crowd is great. Plus, they're wearing the throwback uniforms. There's no way Michigan State was going to lose last night. They ended up winning the game by 19. But when you have the two guys they had going last night in Fears and Carr, I mean, come on.
Well, another thing too is that that was the first time for me watching Michigan State. I mean, they are big. I mean, they are a physical team, but I loved it. So they would run an action, right? They'd try a high ball screen, and then immediately, if they didn't get off the roll, you just had three guys sitting under the basket, just waiting for a shot, just knowing, hey, we're gonna go and out rebound you here and get another shot. I mean, it's just that's Tom Izzo basketball. They were dominant yesterday.
Yeah, they won by 19. They played Duke this weekend. Also, shout out, he's a terrible free throw shooter, and he's been that way from Bellevue West to South Dakota State to UCLA to Syracuse. Bill Kyle III, 42% free throw shooter last night, hit a key free throw at the end of the game to have Syracuse upset Tennessee. So shout out for the local guys. Shout out for Chucky Hepburn, Bellevue West love. Chucky's getting some love in the NBA.
Nice.
Did you see the other night? He kind of went under the radar. Did you see who was the leading scorer for New Orleans in their game against the Lakers the other night?
Was it Chucky Hepburn?
No, he's with Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Many
That's what
fans
I thought.
there did
I was
not.
I thought it was who was the leading scorer?
Rice.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Nice.
All right.
Very nice.
Jay Moore is going to join us at the top of the hour. There's a lot of Danny Odom love. Hey,
Okay,
there ain't a lot in this class, but go ahead and love yourself some Danny Odom.
He's awesome. He's really good. So I just watched Escape for the first time, and I told you he's really good at being physical and not drawing penalties. His ball skills are elite. Good tackler, like impressive tackler, especially for that position. And gets very excited after he makes big plays.
I think
Good energy.
so. Looking at rankings, so Wisconsin, Nebraska, Penn State are at the bottom of the Big Ten, like everybody predicted. There are 2 4-stars. Odom in some places a 5-star. There's no defensive lineman. There's nobody from Millard South. And as I walked you through my head the scenario of a low class. They thought, I think they also looked at the low class along with the numbers, that they would jump off the page. Like Dylan would have things cooking.
Sure.
And they swung for the fences that they would be in the middle of this resurrection of Nebraska football, that they could swing for the fences and there would be like guys are just like, I got to get to Nebraska. And that's how the class of 26 was going to be. Of course, that is not the case. So I would listen closely to Rule on how he walks it through the mindset of this class. He's not going to go, well, it was quiet and we didn't get. I mean, he's going to be positive. But like, I don't know if he'll get into the philosophy of, because I think they were banking on a Dylan bump to go get the big boys, that the big boys were saying, I got to come there and play. And the big boys said, I like you. And it's a great trip. And I get some great gear and I might be able to get on a steer, but I'm good, coach.
I think they were kind of hoping that Dylan would be the floodgates would open with Dylan. Like, oh, 1 5-star went there. All the other 5-stars are now going to look here. It might be happening with Trey Taylor.
Well, it is happening with Trey Taylor.
Like that might be the actual guy who's opened up the floodgates. But I think we had a great conversation a couple months ago about maybe Nebraska's in the in-between of like they're a little bit too they're competing too highly to get like the 3 stars and maybe some of the lower prospects they were getting, but they're not elite enough yet to like go and get the big dogs. And so they're in that kind of weird middle area. And I think that might be one of the causes as to why this class is so small.
All right. John writes into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Old man Doug, good mood this morning. What's he going to be like on Sunday? He'll wear his split Jasker shirt down at PBA. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds really good. Equitable Bank, where they pick up the phone on the first ring. John writes into that inbox, Gary at 1620thezone.com. I don't care how big or small this class is, and I don't care how good the players are. None of it means anything to me until I know how many more coaches are replaced. The reason young players can't play at Nebraska is because the talker in charge keeps hiring coaches with no experience in their position that can't prepare the players to play. But hey, at least we extended him, so we are stuck with this for another 5 years.
I don't know if that's fully true. Addison Williams had plenty of experience with defensive backs. Rob Dvorak had experience with linebackers. You know, Mike Eckler has a ton of experience with special teams. Da'Keel Shorts was poached as a wide receivers coach in an SEC school before he became the wide receivers coach in Nebraska. You know, I think that there's plenty of guys on the staff that have experience. I think you're just referencing a couple there.
So the question, though, because, okay, well, Nebraska's class is small and Penn State doesn't have a coach. Pat Kraft meets Steve Peterson.
That is crazy.
But at least you don't have an empty plane on the tarmac in Fayetteville. We would have been broken if social media would have existed during Nebraska's search, because we wouldn't have been able to handle it. It would have been just awful. We're going to get to Penn State, Nebraska comparisons.
Yeah.
But
Houston Nutt's still available if the Nittany Lions are looking for an experienced coach.
they offered the job. They offered the job in 2004 to Al Saunders. What in the?
We
did a great job filling in for the territory.
I was told what I couldn't say about that search on the air when I was doing Sports Nightly.
Well, now you get to tell us all about it.
Oh, I've already said.
I know.
Al Saunders.
Yeah. And I was probably a punk back then. And then I said, screw that. I'm going to be truthful on Sports Nightly. So I said, this is a mess.
I'm sure they weren't happy with that.
Chris Anderson wasn't. But today is like a good day in the Big Ten for recruiting. Like USC going to have a monster class. Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, they're doing their thing. Indiana's going to have a good class. Minnesota's going to have a good class. Iowa's going to have a good class. People want to play in the Big Ten. The Big Ten has the top 3, in my opinion, draft picks. Dante Moore, by the way, might be in that mix to be a top 3 guy.
He's rising up draft boards right
now.
now.
Dane Brugler has him today in The Athletic as the number 2 overall pick.
McShay did a little spotlight on him a week ago, and he's rising up draft boards.
So people want to come to the Big Ten. The question I have is, you watch recruiting today, because they're going to do, they're going to go around the conference on the Big Ten network and They're going to stop in Lincoln, and it's going to be a little bit small, and I'm sure they'll be like, well, the Big Ten is getting better. Look at the hire in East Lansing.
Yeah.
Okay. The Big Ten is getting better. Is Nebraska getting better? I think that's how you form the offseason when now you go from signing day to the portal. The Big Ten is getting better, and it's not just the big boys. It is the middlers.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Chesney at UCLA, we're going to watch and go,
That'll be interesting.
the Big Ten's getting better. Is Nebraska getting better? Because my thing this past year was, can Nebraska close the gap from where they were at the end of last year to where the top is? The answer was no. Now the conference is getting better. Is Nebraska going to get better?
I think we'll have that answer in terms of, we'll have that answer in two ways. We'll have it in the portal. We'll have it like, who do they go out and who do they get? Who do they acquire? And then honestly, I don't think we're going to have that answer until they start playing games next season.
We won't have that answer until, Matt, a national pregame show is at a Nebraska game next year. If they are not at a Nebraska game next year, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I'm like basing some things on.
The
vibe.
They play
the vibe and the optics.
They play Indiana. They play Ohio State. They play Oregon. Obviously, right? It's going to be dependent on where those are placed in the schedule, but I don't think that's a bad, meter at all. For me, it's just, I would like game one, whomever they might play, like to be like, hey, that guy looks like he actually put on a lot of weight and he looks faster and he looks better. Like, that's when I'll know, because we've had the stat all year, right? The 91 underclassmen. Like, Nebraska getting better at this point because of all the young guys that they have on the roster is really going to be, do you see it on the field?
All right, here is Matt on the Prairie Flower Casinos Zone hotline. Hello, Matt.
Oh, hey, just a random thought popped into my head. Is Matt Rule Mike Riley 2.0?
No.
So I know, like, if
the nice
record,
guy, like I'm going like with the nice guy everybody likes,
record wise, the way that 17 ended, the way that 25 ended. Yes, I think there's different circumstances. So, Matt, let me ask you this, because how is your feel 3 years in with Mike Riley? I know it ended after 3 compared to Matt Rule 3 years in. Do you feel like it's the same?
I feel like the vibe is the same. I think the results are different, but I feel like the vibe is the same. We like this guy. We like the coach. He's the players' coach. Maybe a little bit better record, but still a lot of question like what's next.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely fair.
I think that's fair too.
Thanks, Matt, for the phone call.
I think that if you are totally well within your right now to put your 10 toes on the ground and say, I don't know where Nebraska football is going, because you could say, hey, they have a lot of young guys and they can make a ton of player development improvements, and they go in next season with a talented quarterback, and they can take the next step and they can end up getting some really big wins next season. I think you also can say, hey, they had a really easy schedule this year. They didn't take advantage of it. They have a harder schedule next season, and I'm not willing to put in a ton of stock that players are going to get better because we haven't seen those player development improvements like we hope we would. I think you could straddle a line of like, I still believe in this thing, or man, it's only going to get tougher and I don't know what the trajectory is going to be.
The Rule Riley comparison, just I think simply from the record, was very popular on Friday. I don't necessarily buy that. I mean, what they inherited and the perception of them and the mood around them, completely different.
Very different.
But you cannot go against the record of they're very similar after 3 years.
They are.
One guy didn't get a 4th. The other guy will get a 4th, a 5th, and probably a 6th. Here is Nate. Good morning, Nate.
Gary, my friend, how are you?
Good, Nate. How are you through all this?
Well, I can't deal with the fan base anymore, to be honest with you. Like, the Nebraska fan base has become a microcosm of America, where you have like the 5% of people in the middle that understand what's actually going around and taking place. And then you have the rest of the 95% divided among 2 poles that sound completely ridiculous, stupid, uninformed, low information, and dealing with emotions, right? Like, the notion that Matt Rule is not doing a good job is insane. Clearly, you've never been to Memorial Stadium or sat close enough to the sideline to look at the difference on the faces of the players. In 2.5 years, the guy has essentially completely rebuilt the culture of this team. Even when it's not going well, there's no defeatism on the face. Even when things are going they still believe that they have a way to pull it out. They are winning games late in games that they would have choked off the last 10, maybe 15 years. Like, shut up, take a step back, and pay attention to what's actually taking place. This massive flood of people that go, TJ Latif's a better idea than Dylan Raiola, is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, you got a kid who started last year as a freshman, did pretty good, had a few knocks on him, visibly improved every one of those knocks, did so without an offensive line. Okay, I could have gotten 15 sacks this year against this offensive line. They're horrible. And yet we're supposed to grace Shedeur Sanders for what he did on the line, but the same folk are like, nah, you know what? Dylan should be playing better. He's too upright. Like, that's insane. It's actually stupid. He's by far the most talented throwing quarterback this school's ever had. If you would have put this guy under Bill Callahan, he would have won 4 Heismans. It's ridiculous. And we sit here and we talk about, well, what about recruiting? What about recruiting? No, look, you don't have Prop 48 anymore. All right? You no longer have competitive advantages at the training table. You don't have competitive advantages in the weight room. Like, you were real sexy in the 90s, but you've had 5 kids now. You shouldn't put on the lingerie anymore.
So with that said, where is Nebraska's advantage, Nate, that they can take? They will have something that nobody else has, or something that puts them different from the middlers of the Big Ten?
Absolutely a fair question. And I was talking to Connor the other day. For me, if you do a objective SWOT analysis, Nebraska no longer has a competitive advantage at anything. You can say fan support, but at the end of the day, that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, like, just listen to Big Red Overreaction. It doesn't exist. This Nebraska nice best fans in the world have turned into the most ignorant fans in the world, like wildly uninformed. They are the problem, because they keep driving people like Steve Peterson to think we're gravitating towards mediocrity. Oh, we can't run the ball anymore. It all starts at the bottom and it works its way up because people want to please people.
But Nate,
had to hire Scott
now, hold
Frost.
on here, Nate. There's nothing wrong with holding a program to standards. I mean,
oh, no, that's not what I'm arguing against. Oh, no, no, that's not what I'm arguing against. But you have to understand the standard you're setting. This is an 8-win program moving forward. The ceiling is 8 wins. I don't care how much.
By the way, thank you. I think Matt Rule's ceiling is 8-4, and 8-4 in today's college football consistency of 8-4.
Yeah, and you're
don't run away from it, Matt McMaster.
No matter who you hire, you can't hire somebody more than Rule. They won't come here. You're not going to get enough of the athletes to come here because it's freezing cold, and the champion of the world gets pulled over at 2 o'clock in the morning.
No,
it's not happening. Not, I guarantee you.
All right.
I bet the house. Not happening.
Nate, thanks for the phone call.
I think Nate makes some really good points. I think Nate also makes some of the points that some of the fans that he doesn't like he makes similar points just on the other side of the spectrum. Like, I think his support of Dylan, like, I agree that Dylan is an incredibly talented thrower of the football. I also don't agree with, though, that it's not all his fault. I still think that there are plenty of things that he needs to do better to improve. And also to the whole, the ceiling, I don't know if his ceiling is 8-4.
Yeah, Matt Rule's ceiling is 8-4, and don't run away from it.
Okay,
don't run away from it. But what but when you were you were not even thinking about Nebraska football, and we had a 9-win discussion around here, and it became of, okay, who'd you beat in those 9 wins? College football has changed.
Sure.
Okay, you want consistency. There's a program in Champaign that 3 of the last 4 years they've won 8 or more.
Yeah. And
it seems like you fall out of bed and you're going to win 8. And that 1 year, are you going to find your 9th or 10th win and you're going to strike gold? But you know that you're going to win 8. We have to go back here a little bit.
Sure.
All we're asking for is some consistency where, you know what, the same mindset is every week. There are times you're not going to win because there are teams you're going to play that have much more talent than you have, and they're going to beat you. But the same mindset and not the roller coaster that Nebraska football has been on for a while. 8-4, look at, I know this is going to be an Iowa comment, 10 full seasons.
Sure.
10 full seasons.
Yeah.
Take out the COVID year.
Yeah.
They won at least 8 football games.
No, so I don't disagree with you with that at all. Like, because if you're saying that his ceiling is the floor is always 8-4, then yeah, I would find that to be successful. I think if you're saying his ceiling is they're always 8-4, and then every 4 years you find lightning in a bottle, and you get to be the 12th. You're the 11th or 12th or 10th team of the college football playoff. I think that's a ceiling. I don't think that's a bad ceiling at all. I think there are plenty of teams,
but the problem
who'd like
is
to be
right
there. I
now,
don't think
right now you
is
have
national
to
championship.
Right now you have to jump up to that. You're not
Yes,
there yet.
Exactly. I agree with that too. I think that they're trending in the direction of getting there. It's just my biggest problem is that you had the golden opportunity to do it this year. You will never get another opportunity like the one that you had this season to establish, hey, this is what you are talking about, right? We are 8-4, and next year we're going to be 8-4, and then hey, we're going to get a class like 2027. And so Penn State, the reason why James Franklin got fired was because they got this class with Aller and Allen and Singleton. And that was hey, this is our coup de grace.
Yeah.
This is our class. We're going to win a lot with this class. I think that is the ceiling of Matt Rule,
Well, I
where
think,
it's like they get that big class of 2027, and you're like, all right, hey, in 3 years, we better be in the college football conversation,
I
because
think
that's what you're building up
turned
to.
into a conversation, and even more heated after the last two games, is expectations compared to reality of today's college football where Nebraska is.
Yes.
Doesn't mean they always have to live there, but the reality compared to the expectations of stepping back and go, I got to admit it out loud, 8-4 actually sounds really good. And I would take that every single year. If you told me that, hey, when we put the crops in the ground, Nebraska football is going to go 8-4, but there's a chance they could find 1 win or 2 wins.
Yeah.
And then you're 10 wins. But in today's college football, where Nebraska is in the current landscape, remember, this is a program that's lost 4 or more games 22 straight years. They haven't had an above 500 record in the conference since 2016. So it's not all Matt Rule. It has been a problem with the program. But when the expectations and the reality of, let's just embrace reality, okay, where Nebraska is. And then you can go, well, I got all these resources. Well, okay, maybe they're underachieving.
Yeah.
But if you're 8-4 in today's college football and you're Nebraska and you're trying to bat down some bad history and trying just to establish some consistency and put your feet on the ground where you have the same mindset every week and you don't ride the roller coaster where you're close against teams that maybe you could upset, but then you look terrible against teams that you're supposed to beat. I mean, I think you're cooking with peanut oil.
I think that's a good spot to be. I don't think that's what you strive for. Like, I don't think that's what you're loving and hoping and paying a ton of money to get to.
But you know what?
But I don't think
we got to go
touch.
You got to go touch first base before you get the triple.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And
agree
you
with
just
that.
fly around the bags.
Sure. I agree with that completely. It's just, I don't think at the end of the day, with the amount of money that they're putting into the stadium, the facilities, Matt Rule's contract, the staff, the players, all of that, that necessarily is like hey, this is the pinnacle.
You hired a 500 football coach in his career. Okay.
He's actually under 500 in his career.
8-4 would actually be a good start. Just 8-4, 8-4, 8-4. Hey,
10-2.
The consistency. That's what all we're really looking for. And then one time you reach up and you grab the stars and you have that moment. And then that maybe changes the 8-4 to 9-3. We got to take a break. We're a little past break time. Jay Moore is going to join us here in a little bit. We'll try and sneak in Adam. Adam, hold on. I know you got a comment. We'll get to you when we come back on 1620 The Zone. All right, we'll continue this discussion with Jay Moore here in a little bit, but let's get to Adam. Adam, thanks for holding. Welcome to the show. Oh, dang. Yeah, Adam was busy. I'm sure Adam will send us off a email or a tweet about what he wanted to talk about.
Hey, great comment from John in the comments in the YouTube chat. Fenwick beat East St. Louis.
It's a huge upset.
Massive upset in Illinois. Even you know that East St. Louis is an absolute whack. Big Fenwick, by the way, in Trey Taylor's conference. And so that's a big win for that conference. It's also a big win for for what we're talking about here in Nebraska high school football with open enrollment and districts and whatnot. The war they're having over in Illinois right now is Catholic school versus public school. And the fact that Catholic schools are taking over and being more dominant in football, the fact that Fenwick beat East St. Louis yesterday is absolutely insane.
We used to have that discussion around here, and then it became super teams. And we stopped talking about public versus private. Chris writes in, this is the 8-4 comment. You have a ceiling of a coach and a ceiling of a program, right? Can a program elevate a coach, or is a coach going to elevate the program?
The latter.
8-4 is the ceiling, and every once in a while the stars align and we get to 9-3 or 10-2. Then Steve Peterson was right back in the day when he said we had to evaluate where Iowa was at. Apparently becoming Iowa was the goal all along, and we just misunderstood what Peterson was saying.
Why is becoming Iowa and
we're trying to make Nebraska football in its current state.
Yeah.
In its current state, something that it is not right now.
It's not a national championship contender.
No,
it's not. It's not currently set up in the landscape of college football to consistently compete every single year with Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Alabama, and Georgia. It's not. And honestly, Gary, unless you have Mr. Cody Campbell behind you or someone like Larry Nielsen, you're really not going to.
That's why. Okay, college football is being run right now by the man with chicken tenders and crumble cookies. Okay, that's what's going on.
Yeah,
Nebraska does not have
the
NFL talent of Georgia. They do not have Warren Buffett going dollar bill, y'all. This is where you get to the 8-4 and you stay at 8-4, but the talent moves you higher. Is 2026 is all about coaching to Mr. Sharp. It's all about the guys in the headset getting you to that 8-4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you can control is the coaches you hire and what they do, because you don't have an oil salesman. Okay. You don't have the history of Georgia, Alabama, where NFL guys are getting paid. So they want to come there. So they're the next to get paid.
And
what can you control is coaching. That's why the decision on the DC to me is more important than choosing your quarterback for 2026.
I think you're spot on. Hey, you had a great point. Has Matt Rule beaten a team that is more talented than him in his tenure at Nebraska? I'm right off the bat, no.
Oh.
Okay. They're going to have to do it twice to go to 8-4 next year. They're going to have to prove it.
That's why he's got to, credit to Rule. He fixed the fumbling issue.
He did.
He fixed the special teams.
He did. He fixed the close game issue too.
Yes, they won close games this year. This is the moment. Can he fix defense? He's got a reset.
Yeah.
So that's why the next couple of weeks on who ends up as a defensive coordinator is fascinating. The person that's hired, and I'm sorry, I'm in a little bit of a rant here. The person that's hired, we all have to go, whether we are a Dylan or a TJ fan, and say, that makes sense.
We got to make a nickname for whoever they hired.
Just Addison Williams got screwed by John Butler. All right. Jay Moore joins us next on 1620 The Zone.
Wednesday at 8:00, which means we bring in our very special guest, former Black Shirt, former Husker, Mr. Jay Moore. Jay, as much as you might be excited that it's just going to be me and you today on the StreamYard, Gary is here. Gary does have a microphone. He can't get his camera to work for whatever reason, but you got to just click the button that says to unmark the camera. How you doing, Jay?
I'm well. How are you guys?
I'm great. It's great to hear from you once again. Are we done with golf? You think we're officially chalked when it comes to golf? We're done. We're no longer.
Yeah. I don't foresee you get this early of a snow and as much as we got with the forecast. I mean, unless you're hopping on a plane heading south somewhere, I think it's a wrap. Although I will say that we've had the early snows, and all of a sudden we get it melts, and all of a sudden January, February, you get some abnormal warm days that the snow's gone. But some of the courses won't open at that time as well. So I think the only way anyone's playing golf around here is you gotta be heading south somewhere to where it hasn't snowed yet.
You have a good indoor range you go to?
Yeah, I do. I got a couple options. I got one right across the street from my office. I got a little indoor TrackMan place that I go to every now and then. And then where I play golf at in Lincoln, we have an indoor facility that opens up to our range. So we can hit balls there too. But I will say it needs to be about above 30 degrees, because I don't care how good of heaters you have. When you get those big garage doors open and it's 10 degrees and wind's blowing, they ain't going to help anybody. So yeah, we got plenty of options. Trust me. I utilize them all. Otherwise, I'd definitely go crazy if I didn't have them.
Good to talk to you, by the way. Fantastic job with you, Michael and Damon last night on Big Red Wrap Up. So there's a couple of things that you said that I wrote down. You have, you've been very honest about your assessment of a side of the ball that you played on in defense, and some of the things you liked, some of the things that you knew were a little bit work in progress. When do you think the decision was made that this defensive coordinator with this group of players and this style could not continue? Do you think it was after Friday, or do you think it was before Friday?
I think it was before Friday. In my opinion, I think I just take what he said after the Penn State game, and I think Rule's pretty cryptic on how he says things in pressers, and it could be to the staff and to players, and he kind of threw his DC underneath the bus a little bit and said we busted on the first 8 defensive plays against Penn State. So I think that was obviously very frustrating and cause for concern. It's one thing to have some mental bust early in the season. I still know there's a lot of younger players, but again, the secondary has a lot of seniority to it, and Javen Wright's played a lot of football, and Elijah Judy's older, but that's abnormal to me. I think it's abnormal to people that have been around this game. Is your first 8 plays, you mess up. I'm okay. You're gonna have some issues every now and then, but that shouldn't happen in your 11th game of the season, especially the first 8 plays. So I think that was, to me, that's where it was. That's where that decision was made. I think now they go ahead and play well against Iowa and play better and win and don't give up 40 points and over 200 yards rushing. Maybe it's different, but you have those last 2 performances, man. It's hard to argue with the decision when you give up 77 points and almost 800 yards total offense to, let's be honest, Iowa's offense, we know, it's improved. It's not it's not NFL Buffalo Bills Josh Allen type offense back there, and Penn State struggled as well offensively. So to me, Penn State was the deciding factor.
Jay, Gary and I have had good conversations about, we thought that individual parts of the team, whether it be, Emmett Johnson, got better as the season went on, but the team itself, the offensive unit and the whole defensive unit, looked a lot similar in week 1 in Kansas City as it did in week 12 against Iowa. Do you agree with that assessment? And secondly, what do you think that's a reflection of?
You talking about defensively looks similar against Cincinnati versus?
I would say more so defensively for sure.
Well, it's just, to me, it's why it looked similar for the majority of the season. It's because what are you trying to accomplish up front? I thought Bill Bush put it perfectly last night on the show. Was Nebraska's, the front seven, at times they made some good plays behind the line of scrimmage, but I mean, your leading sack guy was 2.5, 3 sacks, not, I think, 7.5. I know it was less than 10 tackles for a loss as a player. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not very good. Not a lot of havoc. So I thought Bill brought up a good point of there just wasn't a whole lot of knockback. Guys playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage all year. A lot more catching, a lot more guys. Almost, I don't know if they were afraid to make a mistake or just how they were coached. And we saw a lot of that stuff going on against Cincinnati. Guys getting knocked back off the ball. A lot of guys just, I want to be careful because I said this last night too. I want to be like talking out of both sides of my mouth because I hated some of the unique movement we were doing. I thought that was causing troubles, but also you simplify things and guys still weren't making plays. So to me, we weren't winning enough in our up front on the D line. Not enough knockback, not enough guys getting off blocks, making plays. At times they're like, whoa, that was really good. That was well done. But then a guy would go missing for a game or two, or just the inconsistency of it all. But really, to me, why it looked similar from day one to day 12 or game 12 is you just didn't get enough production out of your defensive line, and that has to improve. Those guys got to be winning more times than not, and unfortunately, they just weren't doing enough to make everyone behind, make the 7-8 guys behind them better, and that has to improve.
So, there were a couple of talking points. Was about the size, which, I mean, there are other teams in the Big Ten that have guys that are same size as Nebraska's defensive linemen, and they were able to find through scheme and just pure execution and being violent at the point of attack to win battles and not get demoralized in the run game. But it became now odd man even front. As a lot of us now are looking at a Jeff Collins, what he likes to run, or a Justin Wilcox, who likes a 3-4, but he can match teams. What do you think? And we keep the 3-3-5 alive because there are a lot of teams in the country that run 3-3-5, and they're good at stopping the run, but they also have some guys that play on that second level. So if you're looking at the talent here and you're looking at the Big Ten, what style of defense do you think is ideal to winning in November when you're going to run the ball and try and run it down somebody's throat?
Yeah. I don't mind the 3-3-5. I truly don't. But what I think causes issues, and I think would help players play faster, is the 3-3-5 is a beautiful thing because initially that defense was this about because you had smaller, you had the San Diego States of the back in the day, and I think BYU and some of those teams where they weren't able to recruit at a high level, and you had 245, 250 pound D linemen, and you're playing against the likes of USC and UCLA and teams on the West Coast that have 325 first, NFL type picks, and they have to move. You can't be stagnant at the point of attack and have them make plays. So you had to do things, but the 3-3-5 also allows you to be multiple, and sometimes being multiple and doing a lot and having the ability to do a lot kind of can cause a lot of confusion, especially with a young team and guys that haven't played a lot. So it's nice to have the ability to be multiple. Sometimes it can be a curse as well. It can be a blessing and it can be a curse. And I think going forward for this team to play faster, to play more violent, to play more physical, I think they need to minimize what they're able to do. And I think that's just, hey, if we're going to be an even front, a 4-man front, whether it's an under defense, an over defense, hey, that's more gap responsibility. Your D lineman, hey, I'm a 3 technique. I'm lined up over the guard, left the shade of the guard. I got the B gap. Wherever the B gap goes, I'm there. As a linebacker to that side, I got that A gap, and then you have a nose the other side. I got that A gap. So it's a little more clear cut. And sometimes when you start playing the 2 gaps and you don't, linebackers think, oh, I thought he was going to be in this gap and he wasn't, and he bounces and you have 2 guys in the same gap. It gets a little fuzzy. So going forward, I think I've played them both. I've played in a 3-4 and I've played in a 4-3. Now the 3-4 is more traditional. That was your Wade Phillips NFL style 3-4, not more of your Bill Belichick style of 3-4 that we'd seen. Kind of different schemes. Either of them can work in the Big Ten, in my opinion. But I think going forward, Nebraska has to take a really hard look at going back to a 4-man front. If you want to be able to stop the run and be elite in doing that, that's where I would look. I would look at honestly implementing an under front, utilizing the size. Nebraska's not. I don't think they're small on the D line. I don't think that. I think that's low hanging fruit that people are like, oh, why are we not good against the run? That's just we're not executing. It's not a size issue. It's just not. They're not being violent enough, and they're not being disruptive up there. You can teach those things. You can teach smaller guys to get off the ball and button press with their hands and their head and be violent and go make a play. They didn't do that enough. Too much catching was going on in the front in that D line. So I think honestly, take a good look at a 4-man front. That has to be in play. I think you can with Noweri, you have Keona Davis, you have Cade Petchock, you have Van Poppel. He has to get better. So you have guys up here who you can rely on. I mean, ideally, that's probably you're looking at your front. There's your front 4 next year. And then you have young players. Mentioned Shavers, Dawson Merritt. You have some other young guys come in and are probably going to have to find some guys in the portal to come in at the linebacker spot. But if I'm Coach Rule, I'm taking a hard look at seeing what we can do with that format. I know he loves the 3-3-5. He's ran a lot of different places, but is that causing more issues? Because I just look at coaches and you give them time, they just get bored. They start messing with stuff. It's like me and my golf clubs. You give me time, I'm gonna start tinkering. Yeah, it might be it's working just fine, but I get bored and I want to try something else just to try it. Then it doesn't work, and you learn. And hopefully, and maybe let's get something where we don't have to tinker as much, and you don't have the ability to move so much stuff around. And hey, let's get really good at 3-4 things, and let's hang our hat on that, and not having to worry about trying to do 7 or 8, 9 different things defensively.
It's a great comparison with golf because that happened to Victor Hovland, right? I mean, he was the best golfer in the world, and then he goes, "I'm going to change my swing," and then he loses it.
Yeah.
But you and I had a great conversation last week, and one of the things that you said resonated with me, and I talked to Gary about this on and off the air about the 2 different styles of how you defend the run, right? You contain on the outside and you kind of keep everything in front of you, or you spill it, right, and then you come on the outside and you clean that up. But my follow-up to you now that I've had time to think about it, and this might be a tough question, so I apologize, but you look at the roster that Nebraska has and the pieces that they're coming back. Do you think they're more well-equipped to be a rush defense that keeps everything in front of them, contains on the outside, or do you think they're more equipped to be that kind of spill-it-out team that cleans up on the outside?
Yeah, I don't think to me, it's not a roster thing. It's just a simple, how do you want to operate? And to me, majority of the time, and most defense I've been in, it's been use the defender, that 12th defender who's never missed a tackle in his life, and that's the sideline.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it makes the most sense. You're spilling, you're bouncing everything out. Your linebackers are scraping, getting over top. You forces your backside to play. You have to be really good on the backside as well, because the cutbacks, when you do that, you can get gashed there, but you have to be more disciplined on the backside of the spill technique, playing inside out. But to me, that's where I want it. That's where doesn't matter. It's not a skill. It's just a system thing,
Sure.
and I just like having that inside. It just gets messy when you're trying to play inside out, and I think it slows your guys down a little bit, to be honest, because it's easier to make a play, and I'm saying easier because sometimes doing the easiest thing isn't necessarily the right thing. But to me, it helps your guys. I want my guys to play fast. Nebraska looked a step slow defensively this year, and I think it's a little bit of athletic ability, but also I think of just the scheme and what they're being taught, and they just looked like they're thinking too much out there at times, almost trying to be too perfect. I want my guys to play with their hair on fire if you're going to spill, go spill. Go be violent and spilling. I'm gonna go if I'm a linebacker and I'm gonna go button press a guard getting on me second level, but I'm gonna do it violently. Then I'm gonna get over top and I'm gonna go make that play outside in the C gap because my defensive end came down on power or counter and spilled it right to me. I know if I'm a safety, I'm coming down as an alley player, and my linebacker, my will linebacker's coming down. He's making that. He's playing it inside out. Then boom, it's spilling right to me, and I make it for a 3-yard gain. So to me, that's, again, I don't want to say it's the easiest, but I think it's the most efficient way to play defense, and that's what I still don't know what Nebraska was able to do this year. I think that they tried to do multiple things, and again, it's like, why? I know in some blitz scenarios, you have to be careful. If you're an edge defender and if you're away from the blitz, you got to be outside because everyone's coming from this way. A lot of times that ball's going to bounce, so you have to be outside contained. But at times, Nebraska was inside out, outside in. But overall, I think, again, don't make things too complicated if it doesn't have to be. Get really good at doing a few things and go play ball. But for me, I'm a D coordinator. We're playing everything inside out and using that sideline as your defender.
Give me a couple of words to describe 12 games of this offense in 2025.
A couple words to describe this offense. Man, tell you what, it's hard. Put me on the spot, Gary. I'm struggling to find a couple of words. Obviously, puzzling, inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. You could probably stop right there because
Yeah.
I agree with you. And what I'm kind of leading to is we talk a lot about the defense, but the offense doesn't get a pass.
They don't, without a doubt.
But we can say, hey, if Nebraska runs a 3-3-5, that's an identity, and they're going to stop the run like they had the previous 2 years. The identity is still a work in progress on offense.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's going to shake out what they want to do going forward here in the next 30 days, especially in that quarterback room.
Mm-hmm.
Emmett, what he did, he's got, first and foremost, that was one of the best seasons we've seen out of a running back in a long time. If not, what he's able to do carrying the ball and catching the ball, that was really, really good. Offensively, you look at what Holgerson's had at a quarterbacks. I don't know. He hasn't had a ton of mobile guys back there. Does he want to utilize a mobile quarterback? That will be interesting to see going forward. Offensive line, I think Pritchett got better as the year went on. Corcoran coming in that scenario, I thought he was able to step in and fill in. And then your interior guys, I thought they played at a really, really high level. But what are you going to do offensively going forward on the offensive line? We got to replace a lot of guys, and I know there's been a lot. They're young behind there, but we haven't seen them play a ton. So what that development's going to look like, but they don't get a pass. That Minnesota game was a disaster offensively. There's other times where, again, blocking, the pass, this offense was not, at times the tunnel screen game was really good but it wasn't explosive. Not a ton of huge chunk plays, big plays. I don't know. What I want to see is, again, you got to be able to run the ball, and whether that's with your quarterback or finding a stable of guys who's going to, if Emmett goes, who's going to be able to pick up that slack. But no, they offensively they deserve. They're kind of getting they're kind of slipping out the back door just because of the Butler issue and him being fired. But they got issues to figure out as well going forward in 2026 because it's going to look drastically different. You're going to have what Emmett does, what Dylan does. Is it going to be TJ's room going forward? It could be look quite different as well, as much as this defense could be looking at in 26.
I agree. It's fascinating to see what's going to transpire over the next 260 plus days. Hey, as always, we appreciate it. Again, great job last night. Always appreciate the conversation. We'll check back post bowl to kind of put a wrap and get into the portal with you as well.
Sounds good. All right, boys. Have a good Christmas.
You as well.
That is
Yep.
Jay Moore. Great stuff in there. all this discussion, that's 7-5.
Yeah. That is where you just have obvious flaws on both sides of the ball and the lack of identity. That's really just what it comes down to.
All right, we'll shift gears here. We'll talk some Creighton basketball. John Walker, is he breaking a story?
He's at Darian Jones's
okay.
commitment. That's why he's kind of booked up right
at
now.
Omaha North.
Yes. So he will be, I think, on the grounds of Omaha North talking about Creighton basketball with us. It'll be fun.
Good for that's a great family that I've gotten to know a little bit. Has a son at Nebraska. Now I have a son at Iowa.
I wish he was coming to Nebraska because if he's anything like his brother, he's going to be one hell of a football player. Donovan Jones became one of my favorite players on Nebraska.
Darian Jones, this is on his Nebraska recruiting visit. He's a diehard Carolina Panther fan. So he waited until the end to ask Rule what happened.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, John Walker will join us. We'll recap last night's win against Nichols, and you know what's ahead on Sunday. Plus, Creighton volleyball begins their march towards Kansas City. It's not out of the realm of possibility. J-Dub will join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, it is National Letter of Intent Signing Day for college football. And here in the state of Nebraska, it's not just Millard South. There is a plethora of talent that is signing on the dotted line, whether to go to play Division I, Division II, NAIA, Division III, go to junior college. That's where we're going to find our next guest, who is covering. He's over at Omaha North. But should mention this, Pete Nakos is reporting that Nebraska has a player in the portal, and he is a local player, Cade Vermas. Is expected to enter the transfer portal. The Millard North, I would say Rover, will have 4 years of eligibility remaining. That's according to Pete Nakos. Cade Vermas is entering the portal. We welcome in John Walker from the World Herald, who's on some high school football duty today. Good morning.
Good morning. What's up, guys?
Not much. You are over at Omaha North. You are at the home of the Vikings. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I am en route.
Okay. All right. That's a good story. The family has 2 kids. One's at Iowa, one's at Nebraska. Black Friday will never, ever be the same in the Jones household.
No, it certainly won't. And I didn't realize until I had done a little bit of digging into it yesterday that he grew up an Iowa fan. So actually, that just adds to it, guys. The fact that he grew up an Iowa fan, and here soon, in about a half hour, when Darian Jones puts pen to paper, his childhood dream will come to fruition.
Yeah, he is. His family has some pictures of young Darian in Iowa gear. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's quite an interesting household. It's a great family. It's a great story, and to have two sons that could be starting at 2 rival schools is pretty cool. All right, let's talk about last night. So let's first start with the injury. And, sometimes when injuries pile up, it's one after another, and you go, man, this is the season from hell. Does the Hudson Greer injury complicate things moving forward, or what's your read on this one? He shows up in a walking boot yesterday.
No, it absolutely does. And the question is, I don't think it's a doubt that it complicates things.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the direct effects of that last night. Austin Swartz is going to get some more run. Isaac Trout is going to get some more run. Fedor Zugic get more run in Hudson Greer's absence. The question then becomes, guys, how long is this absence? And I think that's what the rest of us are kind of waiting to find out. And similarly, it seems like that's what Creighton is still trying to figure out as well, because Greg McDermott said after the game that they got scans on Hudson's foot. The x-ray was negative. However, the scans showed something that made them put Hudson in a walking boot. And so now they're hoping that the boot will be enough to help whatever the problem is get calmed down. How quickly, that's kind of what we're all waiting to see, guys.
Do you think yesterday, and I know it was, they played 0-6 Nichols, but do you think yesterday was the first time for the offense where you looked at it and said, all right, yep, that's what it's supposed to look like. 36 made shots, 24 assists.
Yeah, absolutely. 66% assist rate. And more so, they hit their threes. And that doesn't matter who you're playing. They had open looks against Baylor. They had open looks against Iowa State, and they missed them. And so, yes, it's Nichols. So in a vacuum, your ball movement should be better, and you should be better at this and this and this. But really, the thing that stood out to me was that the shots fell. And when they were shooting 27% through the first 4 games, Greg McDermott and Jackson McAndrew at the time, and anyone else you would have asked over there were adamant that if they just kept the faith, if they trusted their work, the shots would fall. And last night they did. And now, guys, they've got to do that again. They have to string together those kind of shooting performances because this team was built on shot making. Greg McDermott would be the first person to tell you that. And that means that they've got to make shots. We saw against Nichols how effective this team can be when they are hitting shots.
Hey, speaking of hitting shots, and he's not a guy that they say, hey, stand out beyond the arc and just launch it. But am I crazy to think Jason Green's shot has gotten better?
No, it has. It absolutely has. I wrote 2,500 words on him before last season. about how he had worked on his game. He added some muscle so that he could handle bigger defenders, and he got quicker in that same regard so that he could handle smaller defenders. So Jason Green really tried to make himself matchup proof as an offensive piece last offseason. Obviously, on last year's team, his role was not to score the basketball, and he struggled to make shots at times. And now we're seeing finally all of this come together. And I was thinking this while we were in Vegas, that the jump Jason Green was expected to have last year is kind of the jump that Jason Green is having this year. And truthfully, as crazy as it might sound, I think that it's probably more valuable that it happened for this team in particular than it would have been if it had happened a year ago.
Blake Harper's the best basketball player on this team, right?
One of, for sure.
Who'd you say is competing with him?
Josh Dick.
Yeah. Okay.
Leading scorer. He has their number one defensive assignment every night. So, yeah, I'd say with what they're asking him to do, probably Josh Dick.
Okay.
But Blake Harper's pretty darn close. I mean, how couldn't he be? You know?
Yeah. So it looks like I'm everybody's trying to still figure out the rules. It's still early, but in a little bit it's getting late because now you're going to transition into the Big East. There's not going to be as many bye games upcoming. So so focusing on Dix, and last night he looked a little bit more comfortable playing with the guys around him. He hit a typical outside shot. He had a follow-up dunk. He also played a little point guard, which is the ideal distribution of where he is on the floor, what he can do, and is like all of that together over the 30-plus minutes he's going to play on a nightly basis. How do you think they distribute that? That gives them the best Josh Dix for when he's on the floor.
Yeah, I that's a really good question. And truthfully, Gary, I think they're still trying to figure that out. Like, before the season, Greg McDermott said the days of guys playing 37 minutes a night are over. And last night, admittedly, Greg McDermott said because of how important Josh Dix is to this year's team on both ends, like there's a reason that he has played as many minutes as he has, that he hardly comes off the floor. So I think the point guard role is kind of more of a reserve role, if that makes sense. Like when Nick is on the bench, when Nick gets reserved minutes, they're gonna let Josh cook, and they do that sometimes when they're both on the floor. That's the beauty of having them both. But I don't know if his point guard responsibilities will wear into him too much. But what we saw last year, guys, and even a couple of years ago with Trey Alexander, we saw it last year with Jemiah Neal. When those kind of guys in Creighton's system have those defensive assignments, sometimes they'll go up and down offensively, right? Like that's the problem. Or if they're hitting shots, they'll go up and down defensively. And Josh was more so in the former through the first couple weeks of the season. He was playing defense well, but wasn't hitting shots, looked uncomfortable in Creighton's system. And now he's settling in. Like Greg McDermott said last night, that is the Josh Dix that we all expected. And part of that is because he's slowly, gradually learning where his shots come from, where his shots are going to be in Creighton's offense. And that's just breathing confidence into him. He pulled up that one from darn near the logo last night. And I looked at the person next to me and I said, he didn't. Absolutely not. So yeah, it's breathing confidence into him, and the Jays are going to need it. They're going to need him on both ends for sure.
How do you view the matchup between Nebraska and Creighton for Sunday's 4:00?
Yeah, when you and
matchup?
Willie are sitting down
Yeah.
doing your podcast together and you're staring at each other, how is this going to work out?
Yeah, we're recording later today, so I'll have a definitive answer for you after that, I hope. But no, I really here's the thing that I'm watching. Can Creighton have the connectivity that Nebraska has right now? And I don't know, maybe this is unhinged. I would think it's fair to say Creighton has a better collection of talent than Nebraska, but Creighton is not the better team right now.
Okay.
Fred Hoiberg has them playing like a cohesive unit.
Yep.
And that's the part, because of so many reasons, that Creighton is still trying to figure out. And so we'll see which one means more on Sunday. But really, guys, I think the X's and O's wise, like the matchup comes down to threes. Nebraska's going to shoot them. Creighton's going to shoot them. So which team can defend the perimeter and which teams can make shots from it? I think that simply is the game right there.
Do you think that Nebraska has the ability to do some of the things that Baylor or Iowa State did, or is this really just going to come down to who has a better offensive day?
I don't know if Nebraska can do anything that Baylor did necessarily, because Baylor's length,
yes,
at every position is just a nightmare. But Nebraska could, in theory, replicate some of what Iowa State does in terms of like on-ball pressure and trapping baseline. I don't think Nebraska will do that. Like that's not their identity. But boy, if I was an opposing coach and I watched how well it worked for Iowa State, I'd probably have a few possessions of that defense in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. And it'll be, here's one of the underrated storylines. I'm really, really interested to see what Nebraska's defensive plan is. Nate Lenzer is really good at his job. And they've kind of come into the last 4 games with the same plan centered around slowing down Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that plan's out the window now. Like they can't front and crash and double a 7-footer in the post because Creighton doesn't have one. So how does that change things for Nebraska defensively? We'll certainly see on Sunday, guys.
Yeah. Hey, I know you've been a little bit busy from Vegas and coming back and covering the game last night, and we appreciate you joining us. It was another late night downtown. Have you had a chance to sift through some volleyball? And if you have, your thoughts on the draw that Creighton got and the possibility that in a couple of weeks you'll be going to Kansas City?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the draw. I think it's really favorable for them. Now, like, do you want to play Kirsten Bernthal Booth's daughter in the second round? Well, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know how much of a factor that is or isn't. It's cool, but like, do you want to do that? Do you want the added emotions? I'm not sure. And they're a pretty good volleyball team, obviously. And Utah's pretty salty too if Northern Iowa can get past them. So the Jays are going to have a tough matchup waiting for them in the second round. But guys, this team ran through the entire Big East. Like, let's not get it twisted, right? Like, the Big East is not the best volleyball conference in the world, and that's okay to say. But Creighton just annihilated it, as it does every year. But the Jays went unbeaten through conference play again, dropped only 4 sets. Not 4 matches, obviously, 4 sets. You can count them on your hand, or one hand. And I saw Kirsten Bernthal Booth mention it, that she likes Creighton's theoretical matchup with Kentucky. Should that happen? I'll have to pick her brain and ask her why. But she likes the matchup, and if she would, then boy, shouldn't I? So yeah, I like the Jays path. Brian Rosen likes the Jays path, and we'll see where it takes them.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Hey, thank you very much. Look forward to your coverage of signing day over at North. Big fan of that program, of course, with Coach Martin, and then the podcast of you and Willie squaring off, and then of course Sunday. So appreciate it, my friend.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
See you, John.
That is John Walker.
Gloves are off. Willie versus John.
Yeah, they go deep. They're hoop heads.
That'd be a good scrap in general.
Why does everybody got to fight?
I'm just saying, if
You and Peterson are fighting.
we're not fighting.
Why don't you go on Twitter and just flame him?
I should. That'd be really fun.
Because he can't see.
He can't see it. He can't do anything about it. It sucks to suck, Josh. Maybe you don't break the rules, dummy. I think he's using the
dummy, that's mean.
he's using the unsportsmanlike conduct Twitter account. So there's no way that you can keep that man off of Twitter. I don't know.
Josh and I had a big Thursday last week.
How would America react if
Josh Tweederson got back on Twitter? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a weird thing that happened to him. If on Sunday, the 21st of December, from the volleyball state, it's Nebraska Creighton for the national championship. The last time Nebraska was stressed to 5, they're on the opposite side of each other. I mean, Nebraska's got an interesting draw.
Yeah.
Creighton would have to go to Lexington, but they went to Penn State last year. You know,
how would the NCAA feel if that happened? I think the NCAA would be like, "This is pretty cool. We got two teams from the same state. The state that calls themselves a volleyball state. The state that honestly has probably done more than any other entity in elevating the sport. I think the NCAA would like it. I don't know how much people around here would like it. That'd be tough. And then you go back to this, right? You talk about, Nebraska basketball, and what you feel like what's coming, and you're nervous about some things when it comes to Sunday.
4-point favorite Nebraska will be in that game.
It really wouldn't it be something if the first time that Creighton were to beat Nebraska were to be in the national championship? It almost is if,
and to beat that team,
that
would be a game away from
being
unblemished.
Yeah. From being one of the greatest volleyball teams of all time.
That'd be kind of interesting Monday show.
I'm not talking from I went there perspective. I'm just talking from a storyline perspective. That would be wild. That'd be insane. There'd be a lot of nervousness.
Signing day. Matt Rule speaks at 11 a.m. this morning. How many questions? Percentage of questions about the recruiting class, percentage of questions about the season, and the DC search. That'd be lopsided.
30% class.
Hey, and Puma, Cameroon. Hey, could have played basketball. Now you're playing football. I haven't played very long. Great story. Hey, Donnie's got to build you up, or whoever's coaching offensive line. Hey, but let's talk about Butler.
30, 50, 20.
Okay. All right. We're back with more of Gary and Matt and Jimmy at 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in as we wrap up this hour. Brandon Vogel's coming up in the next hour on National Letter of Intent Signing Day. There's a lot of flips all over the country. The Big Ten's having another good day. Big Ten is getting better. Yeah.
Are there a lot of flips going on right now?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. The Big Ten is getting better. Is Nebraska getting better? But the Big Ten's going to have a good day leading into a good weekend where they get the Big Ten championship game. I'm wondering about Sunday. Do you think that somebody will leave tickets for Fran McCaffrey?
No.
So he can come watch Freeman, Dix, and Sanford.
No, I don't think
You don't think so?
No. I don't think he wants
Do you think
to.
someone will leave tickets for Aaron Eulis? Remember Aaron Eulis?
Yes. Who forgets Aaron Eulis? You think Tyler Eulis will come with him? That'd be fun. Former Bull, former Wildcat.
You don't think Fran will be at the
No,
game
why
watching
would-
3 of his former players playing in the Hy-Vee battle at the PBA?
No, I don't think Fran McCaffrey's going to be like, oh, there are 3 of the guys who are part of the team that ended up getting me fired.
Hmm.
I don't think he'll be doing that. Hy-Vee battle of the, what are you calling it?
Just the Hy-Vee battle at PBA. The game needs a name.
You can be more creative than that. I've seen you be more creative than that. We can have Hy-Vee Havoc Week or
A smile in every section at PBA.
okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, unless Creighton starts winning, then it won't be a smile in every section.
Nope, been there, done that.
Blowing kisses.
By the way, gonna make a comp here before we sneak in Tim before the end of the hour. Nebraska volleyball is Ohio State football. Chew on that. I'll explain it after the top of the hour. Oh, you know where I'm going.
I know exactly.
Oh,
where
you
you're
know
going.
where I'm going.
I know exactly.
You know where I'm going.
Of course, I know where you're
You
going.
know where I'm going.
I know where you're going before you go.
How was 2 things? Andy Jackson not unanimous, and Brian
Uh-huh.
Rosen not the Big East Coach of the Year. Okay,
Wait.
that's all I ask.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
All
stupid.
right, here is Tim. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, couple names
Okay.
for the DC. I think Eckler would have a good chance. I don't know what you think about that. If not him, what do you think about that Jim Leonard from old Wisconsin days?
Okay, I want to go back. You're the first person that has brought up Eckler. God, I don't know DC, but here's one thing, Tim. I wish they would lean into a little bit more of Eckler's linebacker background because I think
Yeah.
he's a pretty good linebacker coach. I don't know that Jim Leonard comes back to college because what in Denver, if Vance Joseph gets another head coaching job, I think Jim Leonard would be promoted to Sean Payton's DC.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's done a great job
Yeah.
there in Denver too, Tim.
a couple of cycles ago, after he didn't get the Wisconsin job, I would have been but once he went to the NFL, I think that's probably his path. Tim, thanks for the phone call.
Also, too, I don't like the whole Leonard coming from the NFL. I want them to get a guy from college. I want them to be to have a dude who's coming from a team who can potentially bring you a couple of players and who also, I mean, like, you know, I would like somebody who also has been currently connected to the college game. I'm not saying Jim Leonard can't, get back and retune back into the college game. But if I had a preference of college guy or NFL guy, I would much rather have a college guy who's been around this current landscape for the last couple of years.
Monster news in college football, straight south of here. Local media are reporting that Chris Kleiman is considering stepping down. The Mercury, which covers Kansas State, the Manhattan Mercury, is reporting that Chris Kleiman will retire at some point this week, and that Colin Klein, former quarterback at K-State, former OC, who's now at Texas A&M as the OC, is going to return to Manhattan. So Chris Kleiman, if you saw his presser at the end of the year, and they had a rough year, man, hey, I give some bad advice. This is my advice. If you go to Dublin, don't lose. Because people that lose in Dublin, they have bad seasons. Now, they were able to find a way into a bowl game. They won their last game against Colorado. But Chris Kleiman looked like he aged.
Yeah.
Some people had said, hey, I wonder if he'll come back to Iowa because he's a Waterloo guy and coach at Iowa. Well, you're not going to be coaching at Kansas State. According to local reports, Chris Kleiman is set to announce his retirement this week. That is mammoth for K-State.
I watched him play a couple of times. They were just a really weird team. And that's, you talk about Diego Pavia, elevating the Vanderbilt program and other quarterbacks elevating programs could get them to get going. Avery Johnson was supposed to be that guy for Kansas State.
And remember, and then they had the whole Dylan Edwards thing.
Yes, that was a whole other problem as well.
Yeah, Avery Johnson didn't.
He never panned out.
No,
and
don't go to Dublin and lose.
He never became the thrower that you thought, and then they started relying a little bit too much on his legs, and then he just became erratic and had some. He was never just a composed quarterback. And then on the same time too, Gary, like I don't know if you watched that Baylor game, but it was bad coaching that blew that Baylor game. That was some. I mean, they had an unfortunate call in that game that went against them, but it was a weird season in Manhattan.
All right, when we come back, let's discuss DC hires that would make sense.
Or how about DC hires that wouldn't make sense? That'd be more fun.
Hey, what if Nebraska just hires Bo Pelini as DC?
Yes.
And Bill Callahan as the offensive line coach.
And you know what? What can Mike Riley do? Mike Riley, maybe we make him a West Coast recruiting correspondent.
Stay on the committee. Stay on the committee.
Okay.
Yeah. Which the committee just makes things up as they go along anyhow. It's kind of like, no.
I'm surprised
last
we haven't
hour.
gotten there.
Oh, I got it right here. I got it all mapped out. If Alabama and BYU win, Notre Dame and Miami are out. If Georgia wins close, but BYU wins, Notre Dame's in. If Georgia wins by double figures and Texas Tech wins, Miami is in. If Alabama and Texas Tech win, Miami and Notre Dame debate. If Georgia wins close and Texas Tech wins, we have Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami in a discussion. I got it all right there. I wrote it down watching last night. Did you send it to the committee? Yeah. All right, we're back with the last hour. Gary and Matt after this. It's 1620 The Zone. All right, so the big news, college football in the last half hour, according to reports in Manhattan, Chris Kleiman is going to retire. Colin Klein is coming back, former K-State quarterback, OC. He's now at Texas A&M with Mike Elko. Chris Kleiman retiring. One other, maybe another retirement, and this affects Nebraska. So it looks like Nebraska is trending towards playing in the Vegas Bowl and playing Utah. Will that be the last game for Kyle Whittingham?
Oh,
so they have a plan in place. An assistant coach is going to be the next head coach at Utah. Whittingham, who I think this has been an open discussion. He's 66 years old, could have been the football coach at Nebraska beginning in 2015. We could play the what if game today. Would you like to do that?
I would love to do that.
That Urban Meyer wanted to be the head football coach at Nebraska in 2004.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be able to bring certain individuals, and Steve Peterson said no. Or Kyle Whittingham was waiting in Salt Lake City for Harvey Perlman and Sean Eichhorst to come back from San Francisco and stop in Salt Lake City. And they flew over Salt Lake City and they said, we got our guy. And they landed back in Lincoln.
Okay, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Okay, so Kyle Whittingham, at 66 years of age, there had been reports that this might be it. Because now they're officially out of the playoff. That their last
really
game this year could be his last game, and that would be against Nebraska. So what a way to finish the year. Those last two games, and then you're going to play against one of the most likable guys in college football, and that's his last game. And by the way, hey, there's Nebraska on the other sideline.
Hey, by the way, that's an awesome offensive line that they have as well. And an offensive line that is just able to not just maul you, but maul just about anybody. And the only team that they couldn't maul was Texas Tech. And even at times, they were able to maul that insane D-line that they have.
Phil Snow will fix it for the bowl game.
Is that sarcastic, or was that?
I think that's the plan.
That he'll completely fix the defensive line with 15 practices heading into the bowl game. Hey, Phil, why couldn't you do that during the 2 bye weeks you had?
Yeah, not sure what Phil Snow did this year.
Well, he was working with the young DBs, none of which played, like the freshman DBs.
Yeah, there are some nice guys
that they have coming.
Yeah. Do want to mention this because I was part of this committee.
Okay.
This is we've just announced the 2025 Mr. Football Award winner for the state of Nebraska. It is probably not a surprise. This is in conjunction with the Jet Award Foundation. A gentleman by the name of Mike L. Sevier runs the Jet Award Foundation.
Mike L. Sevier.
Hey,
crazy.
you ought to. Next year, I'll put you on the Zoom. So it is Jacob Sauter, Damon, myself, and Michael.
Why are you gonna put me on the Zoom?
Because it's a really good conversation that we have. When we got to the finalists, it was a good, we talk ball, y'all.
Well, no, it'd be funny. I'm like, hey guys, I'm just shadowing.
There's also a day I was like, hey Damon, why are you in a car? I got to be in Lincoln. Rule said I got to be there by 11:15.
Oh, what are you doing?
But the winner, no surprise, Millard South quarterback, Jet.
I thought you were going to say Kip Brigham.
That would have been a good. So he was one of our finalists.
Yeah.
He's
awesome. This
was a really good year for high school football players in the state. And it's cool to me. I mean, you and I both now cover high school football.
Yeah.
So seeing, the signing ceremonies, the different schools that have come into Nebraska to get Nebraska kids. Now Nebraska only has one.
Sure.
One school is sending 12 to Division I. Millard South is having a monster day today. So we had a really good year for individual talent in the state. But Jet is no doubter, Mr. Football Award winner. And I know some people have inquired. He has officially signed with Alabama.
Good for
And I just went and checked. So Alabama, this is also the day that the graphics department and the social media departments,
they show off.
They shine. Alabama's is kind of cool.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah. So Jet has signed with Alabama. So if you're wondering if Matt Rule in the last, no.
That was never going to happen.
That went a long time ago. But they continue to announce signees in Lincoln. Matt Rule will speak in 2 hours about this recruiting class.
Are there? This is a uneducated question for me, but Tate Jenkins, is he a junior or is he a senior?
He's a junior.
He's a junior.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any development on offers that he might be getting or anything like that, or no? That's a damn shame. He's great. Okay.
He's got he'll have opportunities to play football at the next level.
He was, because I only asked because he was on your Mr. Football Award list, correct?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, Tate had a monster year.
He had an incredible
yeah.
year. That's why I asked.
Oh,
I see what the turntable of truth, and they put their own little record down and then they spin it.
Yeah.
That's actually wildly creative.
Yeah. I can't wait to see the opportunities that he creates at Alabama. I know you go, well, he ain't going to last at Alabama. Well, maybe he does. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Ty Simpson stuck around
4 years.
and now look where Ty Simpson is at.
Ty Simpson might be the first
Yeah.
quarterback taken off the board in the NFL draft. Like, people like him. People like him a lot. McShay's all over him. McShay is all over him. It's Mendoza and Moore.
Okay, that's
and
not
Simpson.
number one. Okay, now you got him to third.
No, I'm saying those are the three guys.
No, you
It's
said he'd be the
Mendoza,
first quarterback
it's
off the board.
He
All of a sudden,
could
we're
be.
third.
He could be.
Hey, I was running the Boston Marathon. I could have won it, but I finished third.
I said he could be.
Yeah.
I didn't say he will be. I said he could be. He could be. What if he goes in? He's got a great combine. What if he
Well,
goes and he has great conversations? He's a guy who's now on the big boards, probably second.
I like the game you're playing here. Ooh, this is also not big news. I love college football. College football has been run by the cookie people and the guy that makes chicken fingers.
And the guy who likes oil.
Yes.
And the guy who's got a 33-year-old wife who went to Michigan.
Big loss for Ohio State. Brian Hartline is expected to become the next head coach at South Florida. So, he is number one in the country in developing wide receivers. He has been the OC this year after Chip Kelly left. Brian Hartline, who has been rumored for jobs, now is going to go to South Florida. That is according to Pete Thamel.
He was rumored to go to Penn State. That was a guy. That was a guy who was rumored for that job. So he goes to South Florida. You know this better than I do. Holy crap! Is he going to be in just neck deep in wide receiver prospects that he can just pluck? Bet the over on USF football. My God, that's a really good fit for him. He went to South Florida.
Yep. Okay. I made this, and speaking of Ohio State, so going to the break, I said Nebraska volleyball is Ohio State football.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday was a good day for Nebraska. The entire program was put on the All Big Ten list. They were. There's a lot of players on the Big Ten list, and I think today is the day they're announcing the Big Ten awards
for football.
Yeah, there will be rioting if Emmett Johnson is not first team All Big Ten.
There's no way, right? There's no way he's not.
Yeah, not anymore. I've gotten past that.
Yeah.
I have some faith.
Yeah, there's no.
Now,
I mean, especially
the
with
question-
Haynes' injury.
The question will be, like who will be the player of the year in the conference? Will it be Mendoza or Sayin? And then there's another part of this is, they do, everybody and his brother's brother are able to get on an all-conference team in the Big Ten because we have such a bloated conference.
We do.
How many other guys will be honored on all-conference teams from Nebraska? I hope he won't be first team because I think that's going to go to Logan Jones at center from Iowa. Justin Evans needs to be on the second, third, or fourth team of the All Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, he needs to be there.
Yeah.
Sierra Wright will show up.
Marshall will.
Singleton will get some run.
Do you think Rocco gets an honorable mention?
Probably honorable mention, but
Okay.
at this point, I think everybody gets an honorable mention. I don't mean to downplay it, but that's
Good
kinda,
point. It's
But I
valid.
think Emmett. So there's a couple things with Emmett. One, Emmett, first team All Big Ten running back. It hasn't happened for a long time around here. A long time. Also, because they open up the Heisman balloting. I got my rules. It's 48 hours. Where Emmett finishes Like, does Emmett finish like 8, 9, 10 in terms of votes? He's gonna, because he might get some third place votes. It's going to be Mendoza, Say, and Pavia is going to be the top three. So they're going to take a lot. And you got two guys that are in the Midwest because they distribute the votes across the country regionally. Does Emmett Johnson get enough votes that he gets he's the 8th highest vote getter, 9th highest vote getter, or 10th highest vote getter? He might be like 10th.
He might be 10th.
But it's going to be like a really, really small number.
So I could see because David Bailey will get a couple of votes. Arvell Reese will get some votes. Jeremiah Love is probably going to be 4th or 5th.
Rodriguez from Texas Tech will get a lot of third place votes. Some places he'll get a second vote or maybe even a 1.
Ruben Bain will get some run. Do you go ahead and I don't think Mateer. I think Mateer is kind of out of that. So maybe.
But do we have enough homers that vote for the Heisman that live around here?
Probably. I mean, you can't reveal your ballot, but I think that you are. That's the one thing. How many people in the East Coast and the West Coast are fully educated on the fact that the 4th best running back in the country this year was playing at Nebraska?
Yeah.
Like how many people really know that? I don't know how many people because honestly, I think you're going to get guys who would vote Ahmad Hardy over Emmett Johnson for Heisman, even though I don't agree with that.
But maybe at least he shows up on the list of people that got votes.
Yeah, he'll win the Heisman fan vote.
Yeah. That's true. I haven't even checked on that. See how much a Penn State game changes your enthusiasm for looking at those kind of things?
Him and Jacob Rodriguez were probably 1 and 2 because a lot of people were voting for Rodriguez in the fan vote because they just wanted the linebacker to win.
Okay, so back to Nebraska volleyball as Ohio State football.
Yeah, I think it's a great comparison.
Urban Meyer to Ryan Day.
Yeah.
John Cook to Danny Busboom Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I don't, and I'm glad that she was the coach of the year, no brainer, is maybe the appreciation for her shows you like the appreciation that you should have for like a Ryan Day.
Sure.
That you take a good program, like a good program, and you make it a dominant program.
Yeah.
And that's what has happened in Lincoln. That's what's kind of happened at Ohio State.
Yeah.
A good.
A great
to make
program.
it a dominant.
Well, I think so too.
Yeah, I say great to dominant. Great to dominant.
Yeah, great.
I'm sorry to the word good.
Yeah.
Greater to dominant.
So also too, like Sans last season, right? Ohio State went on a kind of a weird drought without a national championship where they were always in the mix and they were always in the playoff and they were always one of the best teams, but yet they just couldn't win the big one and they couldn't get it done. Nebraska's kind of on that weird streak, right? Of where they are the coup de grace. They are the premier program in volleyball, yet they've kind of gone on this interesting stretch of not being able to win a national championship. Ryan Day, the successor to Urban Meyer, was able to get that done. Does DBK do it, being the successor to John Cook? That I think that's another comparison. I think, can I add one more thing on top of your great comparison? This season in particularly has been really interesting too for both teams because I think at some points we took advantage of their dominance within the season, right? It was almost as if you're like, oh, Ohio State won. Like, am I really going to watch him? Like, Julian saying he's having a fine year, right? I think that there were moments where we're like, oh yeah, they're playing Minnesota. Okay, whatever, they're going to win that game, right? Okay, they're beating, they're dominating. Okay, fine. That's what they're supposed to do. They have all these 5-star prospects. They have all these great. No, sit down, watch the product, enjoy it. Be like, look at these incredible athletes on both Ohio State and both Nebraska, just dominating, set in, set out, game in, game out. It is one of those things where dominance can get boring, so it's harder to appreciate. But dominance is still dominance for a reason because not a lot of people can do it, and both those teams have done it at such a high level.
Last year, the person that finished 10th in Heisman voting got 7 votes. They got a second place vote and 7 third place votes. So they got 9 points. That was Kyle McCord.
Okay. I think based on that precedent, Emmett can do it. I think Emmett could do it. I think Emmett could get to 10th.
Are there 9 guys that will get votes ahead of Emmett?
Yes.
But he's probably the 10th guy.
Probably.
Yeah. Bryson Daly got 69 points last year, the quarterback from Army. He was 6th. Tyler Warren 7th. Shedeur was 8th. Curtis Rourke ninth.
Talk about wins and losses, like derailing your Heisman Trophy campaign. Like Haynes King is a guy that I totally forgot to mention to you that he's going to get a ton of votes. He'll get plenty of votes.
Think so?
Yeah, more than Emmett. I mean, Ja Tech for a hot minute was like, holy crap, they got the driver's seat in the ACC. They're gonna end up being the bid, and now we might have a JMU North Texas 11 and 12 seed.
Well, you might have, if things go well, according to my little cheat sheet, you could have 2 Group of 5 and 2 Big 12 teams playing.
I love how it's just on a very small pamphleted piece of paper, as if it's. Oh, by the way, I literally can't find my Indiana ticket.
Oh.
I can't find it.
Well, maybe you can go and give some droopy highs.
I took a picture of it, so I might have the code. Well,
Yeah.
here's why I took a picture of it. I took a picture of it to brag to people. Like, oh, look what I did. And then now I don't know. Have you ever had something where you go, hey, I'm going to put it in this spot because I know nobody's going to find it and I know it'll be safe here.
Yeah.
And then you end up forgetting where that spot was. And it ends up you're only hiding it from yourself. That's what I've done with this ticket.
All right, when we come back, and we got Brandon Vogel before the hour is over, does Justin Wilcox make too much sense, or does Jeff Collins make more sense? Let's do it. Put it on the hot board, baby. For the defensive coordinator who will be hired before the bowl game, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in like the next couple of weeks.
Do we want to take our shots? Do we want to write down somewhere on the board who we think the DC will be? That'd be fun.
Destined to be wrong?
A little bit.
Yeah. We have our dream candidate, then there's a realistic one.
Yeah, I think we both I think we both
All
have
right.
that actually.
So let's start with Justin Wilcox when we come back. Does it make too much sense for him to be the defensive coordinator at Nebraska? Rule, get out the way. We're going to hire a guy for you. We're back with more Gary and Matt with Jimmy after this in 1620 The Zone. All right. Hey, it's Christmas time, so we're going to give out some gifts. If you contact Matt at 1620thezone.com or on Twitter at Matt McMedia, you got to go through the DM.
Don't you dare.
We'll share with you the Zach Bryan presale code.
No, I'm not sharing my presale
Why not?
code. Because it's mine. Because
Yeah.
I am the one that at 11 o'clock, at 11:06 when it was announced at 11 o'clock, and at 11:06 I hopped on and I got the presale code. All right. Credit to me for being proactive.
So people slide in your DMs.
No.
So the Zach Bryan tickets for the show, The Revival at Memorial Stadium next April, go on sale at noon.
I got people who
Slide into Matt's DMs and he'll give you the presale code.
I got people from Chicago being like, "Hey, I want to come to the concert. Can I stay at your place?" I'm like, "Do you understand that Omaha is an hour away from Lincoln? Like, I ain't staying at my place for this concert. I'm going somewhere else." Like 8 different people from out of state want to go to this concert. It's going to be a hot ticket. Fortunately, it won't be like one of those TKO events that I'm obsessed with going to. That'll be like $600 to just get in the building. I think it'll be a little bit more reasonable.
All right. At Matt McMedia, slide into the DM. He'll give you the
don't slide into
presale
my
code.
DMs. Well, don't slide into my DMs for, tickets.
Miss Sprinkles, you know the drill. Slide into his DMs. Miss Sprinkles listens.
Miss Sprinkles. I don't want Miss Sprinkles.
So I went back and looked at something. Dane Brugler of The Athletic released his first mock draft today. He has Dante Moore, the quarterback at Oregon, going 2nd overall. Reese Mendoza are in there. So it's good to be in the Big Ten.
Yes.
Okay. It's good. Big Ten football is in a good spot. But then I was looking at Oregon because I'll be there this weekend.
In Portland, yeah.
Yeah. Which is in Oregon.
Yes.
Boy, they don't have much in their quarterback room behind Dante Moore.
They'll be fine.
Akili Smith's son is there. He joined the program this year. So they're probably going to go portaling, right?
Oh, got it. Got to.
Oregon and Nebraska play next year, right?
Yes, they
in
do.
Eugene?
In Eugene.
Okay. So Oregon will go portaling for a quarterback. And Oregon and Nebraska play next year. So we don't know who's going to be the quarterback at Nebraska or the quarterback at Oregon.
Yeah,
quarterback.
Your first statement wasn't
it's
false.
These are both true.
These are both true. We don't know who the quarterback in Nebraska will be.
Nebraska and Oregon meet, maybe earlier in the Big Ten season, so it's nicer out in Eugene. I really like that trip out there. Was that 17? Yeah, when Nebraska and Oregon played out there, wasn't much of a game. Got to see Justin Herbert.
That's cool.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a game, but Nebraska came back in that game. But it was nice. The weather was really nice out there. So we don't know who the quarterbacks are going to be in that game.
No,
but they
don't.
do play each other next year. That's interesting. But Dante Moore, 2nd overall, according to the Athletic mock draft.
Well, that's funny because according to my Athletic big board, my guy Ty Simpson is 2nd overall behind Arvell Reese, who's number 1 overall.
I trust Dane Brugler more.
I trust who wrote this. This is also Dane Brugler. What a two-faced son of a gun.
Yeah, take it out on Dane. Don't take it out on me.
Dane's ridiculous. Dane put Ty Simpson 2, but yet he put him 3rd quarterback taken off. What is it, Dane?
Yeah.
What is it, Brugler?
Okay, so Nebraska searches for a DC, and maybe we'll hear more on what the process is going to look like from Rule today when he talks about his recruiting class, and he speaks in 90 minutes, actually 92 minutes from now. He needs to pull a Brent Venables. Brent Venables was able to go to Washington State and get a stellar offensive coordinator who brought a quarterback with him. Now, will a new defensive coordinator bring a player, or will they bring a coach? Will they be able to shop for the goods on that side of the ball? But he needs like a Venables.
Yes.
Because Venables essentially saved his job by his coordinator hire.
Not essentially. He saved his job.
Okay.
He did it.
Okay, so you need something like that.
And I'm not saying, by the way, we're not saying that Matt Rule's trying to save his job, but they do need
lower the temp.
Yes.
Lower the temp. Oh, Matt Rule's going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
He got an AD that they're not
Loves
like, okay. I was just down in Dallas. I was talking to Mike Riley.
Or Scott Simon.
What about Trent Bray? I like Trent Bray when he was here. Got fired at Oregon State as the head coach. Some people like Jeff Collins, who is a good friend of Rule's, and Rule has history with him, Some guys are better DCs than they are head coaches. Like
Yeah.
Jeff Collins is on the South Carolina staff. He's not the DC, but he was at North Carolina last year. Their defense, by the way, had 41 sacks. That probably lights up Rule's eyes, and he goes, "Ooh!" And I
that's the
like what you
number.
did. I like what you did at Temple, and you have a history of being a good defensive coordinator. I'm sure he's on the radar, just like Elijah Robinson at
But-
Syracuse. Guys that he's familiar with their style. But let's get to the number one guy that is not named Jim Leonard that people want to talk about. And there's a great deal of respect for him as a defensive guy. Sometimes DCs, they're just good DCs, but they don't make great head coaches.
Sure.
The Justin Wilcox makes too much sense for Nebraska, right?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, like if we're talking about from just you go from being the head coach of a lower, an ACC team to what is the next best job that you can get after you get fired from that? Being a Power 5 in one of the SEC Big Ten, being a coordinator for for a team in those conferences. So yeah, it makes sense from that perspective.
So he was head coach for 8 years at Cal. Plenty of guys went to the NFL. He has been a DC in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
He was really good in 2016.
With Wisconsin.
Yes.
Yes.
His preference on defense is 3-4, but he also has flexibility that he'll match with the opposition. I do think Rule likes the 3-3-5, and there are quite a few really good schools that are playing well into the postseason right now that are 3-3-5 defenses. You have to have the personnel, the particular personnel.
But
I think Nebraska probably has to have more even fronts moving forward with their talent that they have on the roster. But they need to be flexible, and we're going to find out how much of a say Rule on defense has about the kind of defense that he wants.
Yeah.
But Justin Wilcox does make too much sense, but it is this my best path back to being a head coach somewhere? And I would say yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Nebraska needs to start hiring coordinators and assistant coaches that people want to hire off your staff, either to be a head coach or to go from a position coach to a coordinator at a job that is a step up. That's okay to have that happen. It doesn't happen around here.
It doesn't.
It very rarely happens. It only happens to John Cook and Greg McDermott.
Well, it happened to Tony White. He went ahead and got another. Now we had the whole argument of like, well, isn't it a lateral move or whatever? I think it was more. It had more to do than just football.
Well, I think Tony looked at it. It was and he still feels this way.
Yeah.
It's a better path to be the DC at Florida State to get to be a head coach than at Nebraska.
And also too, I think it's a better path for Tony to get the head coaching jobs that would fit him the best.
Also,
right?
he likes Florida. He's more comfortable with Florida.
But you're right. But that comes with winning, right? Like the hiring.
Really?
Yes, the hiring of your DCs becoming head coaches, like these guys are getting hired as Oregon. If Oregon was 7-5, those guys ain't getting the jobs that they're getting. All right, Will Stein ain't going to Kentucky if they're 7-5. So that, yes, it starts with making the right hires and getting very talented guys in your building, but it also stems from, hey, just the head coach doing the best job that he can and willing his team to win games against teams that are more talented than him, which is kind of the whole point of this thing. So. Wilcox makes a lot of sense from a optics perspective of, ACC head coach.
Home run.
Didn't work out. Big name. People would like him. He's a good defensive coordinator. Cal.
He's your Mike Eckler.
You think so?
Yep. Because Mike Eckler was a home run. When Mike Eckler was hired at Nebraska, it wasn't just the people around here. It was people outside that said, man, Rule hit a home run. Whether Eckler forced himself onto the staff or not, he's still a member of the Nebraska coaching staff, and that position group got better.
Do you want another former head coach on your staff as your coordinator? I think that's a question that you can ask yourself of like, do I, because sometimes head coaches, guys who are former head coaches, they're very used to making all the decisions and being the guy in charge, and sometimes that can be a transition.
Well, wouldn't you have that discussion before you ever made an offer?
Yes.
When you have that discussion with your OC who is in the same boat?
Exactly. Like I think that's something that you would have to assess of like, how many guys do I want to bring on that are so used to make? I mean, it's not like Wilcox was just the coach at Cal for like 2 years. I mean, he was a longtime head coach at Al.
Well,
I think
I
it'd be a transition for
well,
him,
even
for
though
sure.
you definitely want some stability because you're on your third coordinator hire in 3 years, you need just somebody to come in and get it right. Get it moving in the right direction. if that is 2, if that is 3 years, but you're going to know that in the vetting process.
Oh, big time.
Okay, you're going to say,
Yeah.
hey, I like what you do. You know, the Big Ten is a whole different animal. You at least know the Big Ten, even if it was 1 year. They were really good at Wisconsin. Was that 11-3 team?
Yes,
in 16?
that was the top tier team that year.
So you would know if then the candidate says, Coach, man, I appreciate the phone call, but man, you're going to want a longer term commitment. I really want to be back running my own
Sure.
program. And maybe I stay on the West Coast and find a job here, or I sit out a year.
Yeah.
But you would know that before you ever got to an offer.
Oh, big time. Now, do you
or you say, hey, you know what? You're the coach of the defense. There's guys there. Now I would keep Addison Williams. I really like Dvorak. But other than that, coach, do what you want.
Do you think he's considering too, or he should consider at least like, hey, I want to hire a defensive coordinator that's had specialties in D-line, being a D-line coach? Because Wilcox is a guy who's a linebackers coach. He was a linebackers coach before he was a DC. And, you know, you're going to now have 3 guys on your coaching staff that have some sort of insight, Eckler, Wilcox, and Dvorak on how to, you know, how to coach linebackers. And I think that that's a position that needs to get better.
But isn't Rule your defensive line?
Yeah, but why? Okay, so that it always boils down to that too, where it's just like the D line should be better because you have both trenches should be better because you have a head coach that specialized in the trenches before ended up getting big jobs. And that's been a disappointing thing about the lack of development on the D line is that Matt Rule is supposed to be a D line guy. I like Scott Simons a lot. I mean, I think that look, they're like some people have been throwing out like Elijah Robinson as a guy that, hey,
he's a defensive line guy.
Okay, but Syracuse gave up 36 points per game this year. It's 128th in the country. Okay?
They had a lot of injuries. They fell apart.
They gave up
Fran Brown's status to get a job in the SEC.
They gave up 430 yards a game. Like, I understand injuries happen. Okay. I understand injuries happen.
It'd be one hell of a sell.
I understand that talent is a little bit different in Syracuse than it is in Nebraska, but come on. Like help me help you here. Right? You got to give me a little bit of leeway, which is why I look at a guy like Scott Simons. I'm like, okay, yes, they're in the ACC, but they only give up 21 points per game. And they're top half in the country in yards per game. And they're top half they're points per play, right? EPA, you know, I love that stat. They're 13th in the country, right? So it's one of those things where
didn't the SMU media already dispel that he's staying at SMU?
Okay, maybe I haven't seen that, but
because they saw the Husker playing in Dallas and they thought that he was a candidate. And it's Dannon was at the college.
He's
football.
a name that's been thrown around, which I would like. I'm always going to stick on.
What name hasn't been thrown around?
The one name that hasn't been thrown around is the one guy that I want, which is Ryan Walters. The 4.25 would be really good for what this.
But doesn't Ryan Walters want to be a head coach?
But
what if Colorado opens up next year?
But you don't think that being what would you rather be, the defensive coordinator for Washington or the defensive coordinator for Nebraska? If you were to turn Nebraska's defense around and be a part of Nebraska finally winning 8-9 games in a season, especially with the schedule that they have next year, I think that immediately would put Ryan Walters back into the head coach discussion. On top of that, though, I think it's going to be a long road for Ryan Walters to be the head coach of anywhere again after what happened at Purdue, because it was historically bad at Purdue. It wasn't just like, oh, it didn't work out. Like, it was terrible.
Worked out for Jeff Brom. Maybe Jeff Brom's going to be back in the Big Ten.
Well, Jeff Brom is a better head coach than Ryan Walters. Jeff Brom.
So is Joe Tiller.
There's a lot of coaches that were better head coaches than Ryan Walters. He won like 2 games.
Remember that game at the end of September last year in West Lafayette?
When Nebraska was up, 3-0 after 2 quarters?
All right. Brandon Vogel is coming up next. Nebraska has announced their recruiting class. Do we know when Saab announces his? That's the one they were waiting on.
Is that the New Jersey wide receiver?
That'd be correct.
I do not know. It's Eastern time, so maybe he already. I don't know what. Do they do this during school?
Yeah, I don't know what's. But they've announced the 10. So Nebraska has 10 that are in. He would be the only one that would be lingering. So there you go. That's the class of 2026. Brandon Vogel will break it down. We'll get his thoughts on Rex Waterman. Also, Larry Niles, Nayland Scott, and more when he joins us next from Counter 8 on 1620 The Zone. A lot of great stuff is up at counterread.com. And the maestro of counterread.com, along with Aaron Sorensen, is Brandon Vogel. He joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Let's first start with what's going on in Lincoln right now. They've announced 10, maybe waiting on an 11th, but they have 10. It's small. They probably have spots for at least 10 more through the portal. What will the class of 2026 be known for?
So that's a tough one because I think sort of like it's a little bit emblematic of where I think Nebraska football is broadly right now. With only 10 guys, you're hoping you get probably like 6 serious contributors out of that, just based on kind of what typically happens. But depending on which way the Matt Rule tenure goes from here, like being this low, and we all understand there's real reasons for it. Um, it has the potential to be something that haunts Nebraska down the road, or you look back to it and think, oh, remember that weird signing day where like nobody really had to pay attention because there were only 10 guys. Like a number that low is certainly shocking, and maybe explain it away a little bit with, well, it's a different era. There's different ways to get players now. That's probably the best case outcome for Nebraska.
Do you think they're putting too many eggs in the 2027 basket?
Maybe. I think when you look at how the year finished, and that's the issue probably, right? In that, recruiting has moved up such that Nebraska was kind of having the season it was at least in the hunt to have the season it was supposed to have, it could have. And then it fell apart over the last 2 weeks. And you can't do anything about it at that point. So, hopefully, like that's you kind of left yourself that's the out, right? You got 10 guys in this class. You got to be good in the portal. You have some immediate needs to adjust. And then that 2027 class not only has to be probably bigger than it would have been a year or two ago, it has to be really good. And right now, like, that's where they're at. Like, we can all look at that class's ranking and compare it to this one, and it's probably the biggest gap in the country.
Hey, for people that are, like are going to be candidates and they're going to vet Nebraska while Nebraska vets them, if you are a candidate to be the DC in 2026, what's your thoughts on the talent that you would be, the talent that you would be acquiring, or the talent that you'd be now working with for 2026?
Yeah, you've got a couple of guys I think that would be pretty enticing for any potential candidate, but like broad based, there's not a ton you can prove there. You look at guys like Jones and Shaver. One area I think is probably in that group, and there's I guess the good news for Nebraska is there's not a lot of guys where you're just like, oh yeah, that's not going to work. But there's not a lot of I can't wait to get there because they have that guy either. So it'll be interesting. The Butler news on Monday, I kind of went back and forth on it. Felt like a raw deal to me, as Nebraska kind of needed a head on a pike, and that's the one they chose. You dig into the numbers a little bit more, you can see it, and I know you guys have talked about this already, so we don't have to get into it. But it was odd, and I kind of look at it of Nebraska had this job open a year ago. Is it in a better position to get a better candidate now? And I don't know the answer to that question.
Do you think, look, head on a pike, right? Like, do you think that he still had his job before the Penn State game?
Yes. I think if they'd lost 13-10 to Iowa again, he'd probably still have his job, which is why it felt a little bit raw to me on Monday. And, of course, you had a good idea of like what Nebraska's numbers were. We all did, of what they were good at, where they were struggling. And in the aftermath of a decision like that, you look at a lot of the places where they struggled and say, okay, yeah, that's like, I can kind of see it. I'm really interested to hear Rule talk about it today, because it'll probably be the main topic, given the class is only 10 players large at this point.
We've also talked about the offense. So, and it's up in the air because you don't know who the quarterback is going to be. You don't know what Emmett's going to be, if he's going to be here. But then if you take those two guys out and you look at other guys that are out of eligibility, all of a sudden you're like, ooh. What do you think has to happen between now and the beginning of next year with the offense to establish an identity? Is it personnel or is it scheme?
It's probably scheme. Like, I thought there were moments, back at the start of November, like things seemed pretty well on track. I thought in all three phases, and offense had kind of been the wobbliest of those, in that you didn't know what you were going to get game to game necessarily, and there were certainly some curious decisions, but they were scoring about 30 points a game, a little below where I thought they needed to be, but not bad. Nebraska hasn't averaged 30 points a game in quite some time. Well, back to Scott Frost's first season. So it was in that gray area. But you look at, I think, Nebraska's response to losing Raiola and just being late in the season, November football. It was like, well, let's see how much Emmett can do just on his own, and anything else we can do after that. Like, it just felt pretty disjointed to me when you saw all 12 games in some. Defensively, it was pretty clear. Like, they can stop the pass, they struggle against the run, and there's some other details there. But I think scheme-wise, Nebraska can improve there, but you got to figure out which personnel is going to help you do that, and what holes may pop up here in the next 5-6 weeks.
Do you think it was damning at all that there was just a lack of overall team improvement from week 1 to week 12?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the log line of the season, and when you look at what the fallout could be from that, like, we haven't heard a bunch of portal announcements yet. We have no idea what Nebraska is going to target or much less get in the portal. We don't know if there's more staff changes. I mean, and that even barring Matt Rule making further decisions himself, like there's just so many openings across the country and guys are connected different places that there's going to be opportunities for guys to go join a new coach somewhere. So it really feels at the end of year 3, with the bowl game still to come, like this is a pretty hard reset, and that's the last place you want to be. After 3 years, like at that point, you should kind of know your trajectory. I think, and I have a hard time saying Nebraska does right now.
Okay, so the head coach isn't changing, but helmets and headsets are going to change. What's the biggest thing between now and, I don't know, I mean, it's still 260 plus days away, that Nebraska has to accomplish? Because it's going to be tough to sell people on, hey, we got this, this, and this coming off the last 2 games in a 7-5 season. So what's priority number 1, you think, after you change your headsets and helmets?
Yeah, I think, and this kind of goes into a hard reset mindset that I'm currently in. Like, they've got to establish an identity, and it doesn't really matter what it is. Like, well, it's tough to say that, but to start, it doesn't necessarily matter what it is. And Matt Rule in his opening press conference kind of came out and said, like, this is what we're going to be. And then as he got into the Big Ten, he made a bunch of changes, a lot of changes that I thought were pretty positive. But at the end of it, like, we don't know, is Nebraska still a rushing team outside of what Emmett Johnson can do on his own? Do they want to throw the ball to the degree that they did this year defensively? You had the coordinator switch. You're going to have another one, and that kind of comes down to top down. I think there's been a lot of indecision and a little bit of a lack of direction, and that needs to be remedied.
Like when you're making kind of your grocery list, if you will, for the portal, right? And obviously there's a lot of optimism because of what Matt Rule said about the resources that they're going to have. Let's just say that all the things stay the same, right? The quarterback situation is the quarterback situation. What do you think is number 1 on your grocery list?
It's got to be, I think you need some immediate help on the defensive line, and not far behind that though. Like, it kind of worked hand in hand with Nebraska's youth up front, but the lack of a sin eater at linebacker, like Bullock was a year ago, really showed up too. So I think that ranks up there as well. There's going to be a lot of potential turnover at the safety spot. So defensively, I think there's you need to add at all 3 levels in some different spots, and then offensively, pending Johnson's decision, or probably not even pending Johnson's decision. I think you're looking for a running back. This isn't the NFL yet. This is one area where it's different, and I think college running backs are probably accurately valued in terms of their contributions to wins. And we'll see what happens, at wide receiver. But that's always a spot where there's plenty of options available. Nebraska's had decent success there, though you look at the past 2 years and some of the numbers, and it's kind of middling. But those are the ones, and that's assuming that Nebraska has at least one quarterback that you can kind of pencil in as your day 1 starter.
Is there a guy that has played a little bit? He's got some tread on the tires. He's been in the program, but he hasn't broken through yet. Mm-hmm. Is there a guy that kind of is following the model of Emmett Johnson? Couple of years, they splash, but they don't explode. But then they finally just take off. Do you see a guy that maybe would be going into his 3rd year in the program, or maybe even his 4th, that you're like, okay, maybe it's now time to break through?
Yeah, I think the best option might be defensively. with Jones. And like he ended up like taking over the job, and this is kind of his breakout season. But I think there's more there, and sort of similar to Johnson, like you saw it in flashes of like maybe this guy should play more. Well, Jones did get to play more, and we'll see where that goes. Offensively, maybe Clark at wide receiver. He was out there in some pivotal moments, but was kind of limited. You look at what Nebraska might need at wide receiver. That's a guy who's been in the program now for a while and has been on the kind of slow climb. But I think his ability and his traits mean that there's still quite a bit of ceiling above for him.
Brandon, how important is this defensive coordinator hire for Matt Rule? Is this going to be the biggest hire that he's made up to this point in his tenure?
It's a tougher one to answer now than it was a year ago when Rule effectively said, to paraphrase, like, everywhere I've been, we've had a good defense. And that was true. And depending on which column you're looking at with Nebraska's defense this year, it was kind of true. But you had to fire your defensive coordinator, so I guess we can't call it that. Right. So it's interesting. I don't know what Nebraska will look for here. There's a lot of like high profile guys that were suddenly available due to the crazy coaching carousel. You could go out and look for like the next Tony White, maybe somebody from G5 or lower who has some new ideas. Though that gets risky because you've got urgency to win now. So I would still put it behind offensive coordinator with them making that decision in season. Mm-hmm. And just given Rule's track record minus this past year. But it's up there. And I think the degree of difficulty is hard, not just for, hey, is Nebraska's curb appeal better now than it was a year ago? I think the answer is probably no, but it's not significantly worse. But also just defense is a lot of reaction and effort, and there are guys out there that you can get who bring those characteristics in spades. Nebraska got one in Mike Eckler this year on special teams.
Yeah, they did. That's the search to find the next Mike Eckler. All right, what do we have coming up on counterread.com? Because now you have a lot of stuff to sift through and write about.
Yeah, there's almost too much going on. My head's kind of swimming. So, like I said, it'll be interested to see what Rule has to say today. I'm undoubtedly talk through some of this D coordinator stuff, but it's going to be a multi-tiered column tomorrow. Got to jump into a little bit of volleyball tournament as well, and then Nebraska men's basketball has a 6-day stretch coming up next week that it's going to be pretty telling, I think, for what we know about that team. So we'll see how much of it I can get in there in one newsletter for tomorrow.
Hey, fantastic stuff as always. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
That's Brandon Vogel from Counter Read. That stretch is Creighton, Wisconsin, Illinois next week.
Be big. What did Ken Palm say? Their first loss would come to Illinois?
We'll come against Illinois.
Okay.
Right.
Be a big game.
All right. Matt Rule will speak about an hour about his recruiting class. They've announced 10, maybe get to 11. But there'll be probably a little bit bigger picture questions that'll be discussed. Happer Show will carry that. We'll talk to the Happer Show coming up next on the Crossover. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. It's